Hola, mamacitas. Happy Saturday, guys. Happy Saturday. What's up? What's fresh? What's new? What's popping? What's going on, guys? What is going on? Wow, I got a lot of editing to do this weekend, don't I? Don't I? Don't I? Got quite a lot of editing to do. Sad. 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 It's this one. Oh, it's so gay. This is like a 3-hour video. That's super gay, but we're gonna make it work. We'll make it work. 3-hour video. Oof. Oof. Crazy. Crazy. Do you think that there's like, it doesn't like break it up for me. It doesn't break it up for me. But it's, well, this will be a good one. This will be a good one, guys. I wanted to watch this by myself. I was gonna watch this by myself, but then I remembered that like all of you guys fucking hate Not So Erudite too, and then I was like, oh my god, we can watch it together. Oh my god, we can literally hate her together. How fun. I also, I know that I just did this, but I'm thinking about redecorating again. I know I just did it, you guys. I know that I just did it, but I'm thinking about it again. I'm thinking about it again. I'm always thinking about it. Always thinking about it. What is up, Max? What is up, Kitten Fart? What is up, Deer? What is up, Jer Bear? What is up, Rotten? What is up, Vass? What is up, Space Frog? What is up, SMJ? What is up, Your Girl Meh? What is up, Lie Noun? Luca? Jer Bear? Black Yamoto? Cherry? Lin Kong? Wow. Wow. Ruth, Poet, Invoicing Emu, Bethany, Astari, Yeehaw. No, I've been keeping my eye on a lot because Tim Pool has been having on everybody that I hate lately, which has been quite a treat. It's been quite a treat, truthfully. He had on fucking, oh my god. He had on Wick TV and Prime Kai. I don't know if anybody remembers either of those bitches. If you guys don't know who Prime Kai or, oh my god, fucking Connor was on there too. Counterpoints. Oh my god. Oh my god. It's just he knows who I hate. He like reads my mind somehow. He like haunts my dreams to figure out who I hate most, and he's like, this is who I should have on my podcast. And it makes me so fucking pissed off. It makes me so fucking pissed off. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. That's okay, Hizaki. I forgive you. I forgive you. We have done Not So Erudite before. We'll do a recap. That's okay. Tim Pool is just like a grifter. Well, okay. Well, let's okay. All right. Since nobody knows what the fuck is going on, we'll just go. We'll just go. Okay, this is Tim Pool. Tim Pool is a conservative grifter. Okay, Tim Pool, as you can tell by his beanie, he skateboards. Why does he skateboard, you ask? It's to own the left. I'm not kidding. He literally skateboards to own the left. I don't know. He's like, I can do fucking kickflips and shit. Anyway, he does a podcast. He's got a pretty big podcast, okay? And he was getting paid by Russia. When that shit came out, you know, that Russia was paying and funding like U.S. media operations and shit like that. He was getting paid by Russia in order to do his podcast. Basically, he's a right winger. He's really, you know, stereotypical like Trumple kind of bullshit or whatever the fuck. Okay, very run of the mill. He also wears a beanie because he's bald. I mean, you know, we're all gonna get there. We're all gonna get there eventually, but. You know, it happens. And then, I guess I can get a picture of Erudite. I guess I can just pull up her YouTube channel. And then I wonder if I can find Tim Pool's music video, because he also made music videos for a while, and they're very fucking cringe. Uh, okay. Let's go to her YouTube channel. Okay. This is not so erudite. Okay. This is not so erudite. This is Destiny's #1 dick rider. Okay. This is Destiny's #1 dick rider. We've talked about her before. She's a psychometrist, psychometrician. I don't know. They're two different words. Psychometrists are people who administer psychological tests. Psychometricians are people who like write the tests. It's one or the other. I don't know. She has the lesser one. There's two different words: psychometrist and psychometrician. She's the lesser one. She has like a bachelor's degree in psychology, and then she has a graduate certificate in psychometrics or something like that. So she can administer the test. She doesn't make the fucking test. She can administer them. Okay. She's really fucking annoying. She thinks that she knows more than anybody in the entire fucking room, but she doesn't at all. Also, getting fat. Okay, so that's really important. Write that down. Also, getting fat. But most importantly, she's like a major Destiny hog rider. Anybody who doesn't know anything about Destiny, Destiny got in trouble or is currently in trouble because he was sending people's nudes without consent. And Erudite is like, it's not that big of a deal. Consent was implied. Like, who cares? It's just one rape. We need Destiny to save us from Donald Trump. Who cares if he rapes? It's very annoying. Very annoying, if you ask me. Very annoying. But nonetheless, I'm here to watch her get fucking shit all over. I've heard that this is gonna trigger the ever living fuck out of me. So I can't wait. I've heard this is going to trigger the fuck out of me. Also, just a quick little... Oh, what's this? This one right here. And, oh god, this just makes me want to peel my skin off and eat it. Like, this is not so erudite's. This person is like, one of the few games that has a female main character and a man is being eyed to play her. Such progress. For The Legend of Zelda, Zelda is not the main character of Legend of Zelda. It's Link, you stupid fucking bitch. First of all, okay? It's Princess Zelda, okay? Link is the main character. Literally, fuck you. You're stupid. And then she's like, but why is this man hotter than you? I love cisgender trans activists. They're so good. They're so... Wow. Wow. Thank you, Erudite, for giving us trans rights. Thank you. I'm so fucking happy. That's so fucking... Wow. I'm overjoyed. I'm overjoyed. Wow. Literally, fuck you. If this is your version of trans advocacy, just shut the fuck up and don't talk. Just don't talk. If this is your version of trans advocacy, just don't fucking talk. Like, I don't know what to say. It's so annoying. Killjoy, did you see the video where she sat her husband down and had to basically say he's okay with being cucked? It's so funny. Yeah, she's married to like a... alpha male. Her alpha male husband posts her BMI on the internet all the time to like prove that she's not fat, but her BMI is fat. And then he's always like, yeah, bro, like, you don't know shit about gains, bro. Like, I'm a real traditional man, bro. I'm a real traditional man. And the real traditional man like cooks and cleans and wears like a little fucking maid outfit around the house. It's like diet. It gives Diet Hunter Avalon, right? Like, I am a traditional, you know, high value male, as I'm 5'6" and clean the house for my wife and let her cuck me. Oh yeah, that's real alpha Chad energy right there. I'm definitely impressed with the alpha male energy that's in the room right now. Like a miniature French maid that gets cucked. Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah. Very, very tragic, very tragic. Let's go ahead and check out Tim Pool's music video. Let's get a little taste of Tim Pool's music video. We gotta skip it forward though, a little bit. Let's get to the lyrics.
And every night I dream of you, and every night I promise to hold on to the dream I one day wake up.
Alright, hurry up.
You to know
Too slow. Give me something good here. Yeah, this is just like gay Nickelback. Like, is Nickelback gay? This is like mega gay Nickelback. Like, very cool. Very, very, very super gay Nickelback. The gayest. The gayest, yeah. Basically, Erudite is doing what Blair White does, but for the left, comparing trans people to cis people for dunks is fucking crazy. Well, the same thing as that Brianna Wu did with Hunter Schafer. I don't know why everybody's so. That's not a lie. That's a lie. I do know why everybody is weird about Hunter Schafer is because she's conventionally attractive, and I don't know what makes people short circuit whenever that happens. But nonetheless, Brianna Wu did the same thing to Richard Hania when she was like, if you want hot, juicy, fat, fucking trans women titties, if you want sexy trans women, you need to let children go on puberty blockers. That's literally what she said. It's fucking disgusting. If your version of trans advocacy is just dick measuring, like who has better tits or whatever, honestly, just log off and shut the fuck up and never talk about it again. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. My opinion. Yep. Let's not make a crash out, guys. So anyway, Not So Erudite got invited onto Tim Pool. And we're talking about why men are leaving the left. And society is attacking masculinity, you guys. Attacking masculinity. Something I'm very passionate about, obviously. I care a lot about this topic. So let's just see how it goes.
What's your view on why young men are basically... Is there...
How long is the intro on this?
Me everywhere.
Younger men, right? It's because young men are living...
Oh. I was too impatient. I'm sorry.
Young men are leaving the left. We've seen numerous reports. Actually, I talked about it quite a bit this morning. There are 2 Gen Zs, Vox claims, because young men are shifting rightward. Older Gen Z still lean a little bit more progressive, but young men are largely moving to Donald Trump, moving to the right. They're happy to do so. You're also seeing the rise of prominent personalities like Andrew Tate, despite the fact that many people are critical of his career and how he made his money. Young men still seem to like the guy. So what is the phenomenon driving people, younger men particularly, away from the left?
It's because this is like your role model for masculinity. It's because everybody's role models fucking suck these days, okay? Everybody fucking sucks. Everybody sucks, all right? The guys that are like worth looking up to are pieces of shit. The guys that are worth looking up to are ugly as fuck and like cuck beta males. And then everybody that is not worth looking up to is conventionally attractive and like a Giga Chad Alpha Snow Wolf Pack member elite. And everybody's like, wow, that's so cool. I know that he like beats women, but I bet he looks cool as fuck when he does it. It's aesthetically, men on the left are fucking ugly. And men on the left are usually pussies. R.E. Erudite's husband.
And into the hands of conservatives. We're going to have that debate. So we got a couple of guests joining us tonight to have that. Joining us not tonight, it's the morning. Joining us this morning to talk about it. Ma'am, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Kyla. You can find me everywhere at Not So Erudite. I do streaming
and then she's like, I'm bulking. Why is everybody bulking right now? It's summertime. It's time to cut. It's not time to bulk. We cut in the wintertime. We bulk in the wintertime and we cut in the summertime. You want to be fat for bikini season? You want to be fat for hot girl summer? No, we have our timelines backwards, you guys. We bulk in the winter and we cut in the summer. Oh, it's maddening.
stuff. I typically talk about gender, so it's a good topic for me.
Oh, gender.
When I do vape, I vape Miami Mint.
Kind of like social cultural commentary.
All right, sir, who are you?
I'm American Nacho. I'm a Christian, conservative, husband, father. I work.
Also, American Nacho, I haven't heard that name in years, you guys. American Nacho used to do, like, Dylan Burns debate panels, like, 4 years ago. God, I feel like such an old man. I feel like Tim Pool just be letting anybody go on his show. Should I apply to be on Tim Pool? He's just letting anybody go on his show these days. Holy fuck, you guys. Holy fuck, I should apply.
Full-time, supporting my beautiful stay-at-home wife in our 2 recent additions. And I stream video games and politics as more of like a hobby. You could say like a mover and shaker in some of the political communities.
So,
to like Andrew Wilson or something like that.
Right on. To start, I think we're in agreement that young men are moving to the right.
I think if you're denying that, you're just denying data.
Right. Yeah, Vox, Washington Post, like everybody's bringing it up. I think the question is why, but you agree young men are going rightward. So I guess, is there a disagreement on why it's happening, or do we actually agree why it's happening? What's your view on why young men are basically moving over?
I think as a liberal, I am liberal, and I spent the last several months being asked this question by liberals and Democrats. I think the answer is that the left kind of hates and fears masculinity.
Also, my favorite thing that recently happened is, so Kyla was a big part, Kyla, not so erudite, whatever the fuck you want to call her, I don't know. Dumb bitch. I'm just kidding. That's very misogynistic. I take that back. That was very rude of me to say. Anyway, she worked for Progressive Victory for a while there, and as everybody knows, Progressive Victory was a total shit fuck waste of time, utter failure in every conceivable, possible, describable way. But she said one time that it was actually pretty recently, that she got asked to go and speak to like senators and congressmen and members of the House and the Senate and all this other shit in Washington. Like, why can we not appeal to, modern young men or modern young voters or shit like this or whatever? And of course, it makes complete sense that they asked this fucking nobody, sub 50K YouTube streamer that averages about 100 views every live stream or whatever the fuck. They asked that person, not Hassan. Not anybody that has like a sizable platform. And again, every time we talk about this, think whatever you want about Hassan, okay? He is palatable to the left, and he is palatable to normie audiences. That's just it. That's the end of the discussion, okay? But Kyla was really blessed to be able to go and talk to all these people, and her sticking point was that everybody needs to be more comfortable with the R word. And she was like, I just got like right up there, and I asked them, I was like, how do you guys feel about the word? And then she said the R word, and everybody was like, probably not good. And she was like, well, plenty of people want to say the R word, and by cutting that off, you're kind of limiting your constituency, because like, why would you distance yourself from somebody? Like, why can't we just say the R word, guys? Like, let's be edgy. We want to be edgy, right? Everybody loves edgy. Being edgy and being palatable to broader audiences is more than just saying slurs. Is way more than just saying slurs. Like, you can be edgy and you can be funny without uttering a single slur. Believe it or not, that is something that can happen. And if you are going to use slurs for edgy humor, it has to be funny. The joke isn't just saying the slur. And I feel like we have the most monotone, like socially maladjusted fucking hermit shrew of a woman describing what is, you know, social cadence in telling jokes. Like, you're not funny. You should be the person that's educating people on how to tell edgy jokes. Like, your edgy joke is literally like, let's say a slur, guys. It's like, it has to be humorous. You can't just, I'm so upset. I'm so upset.
Broadly, I think it doesn't like it, and I think you can see that in the fact, I don't know if you know this, the APA, it's the American Psychiatric Association. This year they came out with rules and guides about how to treat men in therapy differently than women, and like tricks and stuff that they need to be aware of, right? And it's like, it shouldn't be like 2025 where we're coming out with this stuff. I think the left has just broadly neglected the male issue because it's been
oh my god, thank you so much, Hazaki.
Donatet $1 amb 99 centaus trucs superchat. Idiot. Ideo abamonei. Udeo you feel?
God bless. Witness, thank you very much, Hazaki. I feel unburdened by what has been. That's how I feel right now. Thank you for asking.
What's the word? Not politically correct to talk about.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And what say you, sir? Do you agree with that?
To some degree,
What
yeah.
say
I think men are
you?
moving to the right because men are more rational than women. You know,
True.
Young men are shifting
I hate
away
women.
because left-wing ideologies are kind of disconnected. They feel kind of disconnected from reality. You know, we're living in a society where, you know, we're having economic stresses, we're having, you know, geopolitical stresses, and men are seeking, you know, pragmatic solutions to like economic and social changes, valuing like free expression and preferring like empowerment over this like collective guilt that seems to be like following us around like a cloud. So
Indeed.
Collective guilt,
what would you
huh?
say to that before I jump in? He said,
Men are more rational than women.
yeah, and liberal ideologies are, how did you describe it? Not rational or not?
yeah, it seems like young men are experiencing sort of like a disconnect from like left-wing political narratives. Like it's not like they don't make sense to, especially young men and even older men like myself, like starting a family. I'm looking at what world my young men are gonna have to grow up in, what world my children are gonna have to grow up in.
Yeah, when I look at young men and young women especially, I think most people are not very rational. I don't really give rational points to most people or most voters in general. I think women...
She's the only rational one, guys. Like, everybody is irrational except for me. Convenient, isn't it? The reality is people like simple, quick, witty, zinger, easy to follow. People are dumb. That's the reality of it. I mean, most people are dumb. Okay, so when the left slogan is abolish the police, but by abolish the police, I mean defund the police, and by defund the police, I mean like just put more money into training and also like all the extra shit that they need. We don't really need that money. I think that money means this, but so like when we say abolish the police, we don't actually mean abolish the police. We mean, you know, defund certain aspects of policing protocol in order to better serve the constituency of marginalized groups in this country. It's like everybody's like, boo, shut up, bitch. Nobody gives a fuck. Shut up. Everybody loves Maha. Make America healthy again. Quick, easy, a zinger. Everybody loves Make America Great Again. What the fuck does that mean? I don't know, but it sounds sick as fuck. Let's go. That's the reality, okay? Like, it's too much. It's too much. Everybody's lazy. Everybody wants like a quick, easy 1, 2, 3 to follow. Okay, it's too much right now. People are dumb. Most people are dumb. Like 9 out of 10 people are certifiably brain dead. Okay, and so somebody says, "I want to make America healthy again." You know this. You know the skit in Family Guy where Lois is running for office and she's like laying out her platform and everybody's like falling asleep and then she goes, 9/11 was bad, and everybody was like, woo! woo! That's literally what politics is. That's literally politics. You have to be like, dude, 9/11 fucking sucked, and everybody's like, I'm voting for that guy. That he knows what's up. Or you're like, dude, Osama bin Laden, more like Osama bin gay, and everybody's like, oh my god, we have to vote for this guy right now. Like, people are dumb, okay? Everybody loves that shit. And listen, I'm a victim of this as well. When Kamala said, you didn't just fall out of a coconut tree, I was like, I'm voting for her. I'm doing it. I'm voting for, that was funny as fuck. I'm doing it. That's the problem, okay? Leftist politics is like very annoying, very pretentious. Most of it, I would say, a bit, in my opinion, one of the biggest things is that leftist politics is very heavily gatekept around academia. It's very inaccessible to like your average Joe Schmo, okay? Your average Joe Schmo doesn't need a dissertation on why we need to defund the police when he asks a yes or no question, okay? It's like that, well, historically speaking, it's like, shut up! If you can't answer it in like 4 seconds or less, shut the fuck up. That's the problem, okay? It's not digestible. People don't like it.
Are like influenced a lot, whether they like it or not, by things like hormones, right? I think women's like hormonal fluctuation is daily.
True.
Hormones,
Hormones, right?
But at the same time, you know, you'll point to like women like crying maybe over something that they shouldn't cry about, or being soft and maybe enabling in an area that they shouldn't be. But then you'll see men like punching holes in walls and like doing crime. And so this argument that like men are just more rational than women, it's like, well, no, like different emotional systems and different arguments appeal to each of these groups because each of these groups are fundamentally self-interested.
I don't know what's not rational about that. I lose at Call of Duty. It's the drywall's fault. It makes complete sense to me. I don't know what she's talking about.
And I think what's failed on the left is to make any appeal to anything for young. The left hasn't offered young men anything. There's nothing that would be appealing to a young man when you look at left policy. But there's lots of things that are appealing to young women. And so I think if Democrats want to talk to young men, they have to talk to young men. But I don't think it falls as simply down to like rational versus irrational. I think that's like a flattening of the nuance.
I think
Consider woman vote with vagina, man vote with penis. Consider. Checkmate.
that modern liberal orthodoxy is antithetical to masculinity, and that the men who remain on the liberal side are largely what we call, and I quote, this is a biological term, sneaky fuckers. Are y'all familiar with that term?
Yep.
Are you familiar with sneaky fucker?
Lay it out for me.
So in biology, there are some species. There's an example of one fish where there's two different types of males, large and small. The large male earns favor with the females by being strong and powerful.
Oh, yeah.
The sneaky fucker goes in the middle of the night and inseminates the eggs and flees.
Yeah.
And so largely, I see what you're saying. And
we're literally 5 minutes into this video and we're already talking about cuckfish. This is fire content, you guys. I'm loving this.
my view is, and obviously not absolute, there's a lot of men who actually are into leftist liberal ideology. I'm just saying I think it's a generality, that an ideology that the orthodoxy focuses on oppressors who has the power is going to be antithetical to a man who is seeking to empower himself and become strong. And then what you end up with is among millennials, the data in 2018 was that 70% of millennial women were Democrat, 30% were conservative, and 55% of millennial men were conservative, and 45% were Democrat. The data probably changed, but I think you get a large portion of weaker males.
Well, yes, this is my favorite news source. I'm glad you asked.
Who find their path towards, I guess, sexual marketplace success in being the male feminist pandering to women, telling them what they want to hear so that they can earn favor, while the other guys are defiant dude bros chest bumping. And that's an exaggeration, but that's, you get the idea.
Yeah, I think there's something. Dude, so like the sneaky fucker is very fun. In Evo, humans like there's not like a ton of evidence for this. It's like a mating strategy. It's more like birds that do this.
I also love how she's like, as somebody who I am your psychology expert. You have a bachelor's degree. Be quiet. Pipe down.
But this idea that I think is actually more true, that I think is more grounded on reality that we're talking about, is this idea that essentially for you to perform well as a man in the liberal space, there has to be a certain level of like castigation you have to do toward masculinity and like a promotion of femininity that's almost exclusively performative, right? Especially because as a woman, I wouldn't say liberals are like inherently better at like certain forms of sexism, right? Like there's a lot of times where I feel like just my existence, I just don't get respected as much like at a default, even in liberal spaces. And so what I think happens is
it's because you're annoying as fuck and you're a know-it-all. That's the problem. Nobody respects a know-it-all of any fucking gender. Anybody who walks into the room and is like, actually, that person gets universally disliked. Everybody hates a know-it-all bitch. Everybody hates that, okay? That doesn't really have anything to do with your sex or your gender. It has to do with being annoying. There is no... being a hater means that everything is rated E for everyone. Everybody can catch it, okay? Everybody can catch the smoke. And the reality is that annoying people are at the top of the fucking list. And I hate to break it to you, you are, in fact, annoying.
There's a lot of performativity. And in the case of on the left, we've had this issue where if you want to be left-coded, and by left-coded I mean perform, appear, and feel left. You've got the language, usually some aesthetic, right? I appear more left than I appear right. I've got like a choker on and whatnot. In all
Guys, did you know that you can become a leftist with this one simple trick? By wearing a choker? Isn't she like 35? This should be illegal. This should be like illegal. They should have to ID check you at the store. If you're over the age of like 25, you can't fucking legally buy a choker. This is insane. This is insane. Please.
These ways, if you want to perform left, you have to do some level of service to femininity. And if you're going to talk about masculinity, you have to caveat and couch it within these other things. That's how I kind of view it. Which, if you're a young man, you're just like, what the fuck? Like, where am I?
Maybe that's a good way to put it. It's just easier to be on the right. You
Men?
don't really have to do a whole lot.
Yeah, and
You could sit around eating chicken wings as long as you're talking about football.
I think it's easier for women to be on the right too because all you have to do is stay at home and fold laundry. And how you guys? Do you know how pissed I am that I totally forgot that was an option? I could just be at home like folding laundry and shit, watching Desperate Housewives, drinking boxed Franzia wine throughout the day. Hello, I totally fucked up.
Football and you don't say weird leftist things, the right's going to be okay with you.
Yeah, that's one thing that I was wanting to point out too, is that I think that, you know, they're moving right because at least the right is listening, or at the very least they're just like cool with it. You know what I mean? Like you're saying, you can just sit on the couch and hang out with the bros a little bit to a degree. When you're disagreeing with right wingers,
Segueix allí donatet $1 amb 99 centaus trucs superchat. Marc, UDO o stay sana doing this as UB? Respect.
Oh, thank you for the 199 C jelly. Truthfully, I gotta be honest with you. I have mastered the art of selective dissociation, so like I can just like turn off my stream of conscious thought at any time.
Isaki Kentai donatet $1 amb 99 centaus trucs superchat. You can say it, but I'm doing the yape hand sign.
Thank you very much, Izaki. Everybody, double witness. Thank you. Literally, me the whole time. I'm doing this like every time that she talks. I have like a little sock puppet on my hand, and it's like, actually, you guys, on the left. Oh my god, kill me. Yeah. I'm having fun. Tell me more.
they're not going to destroy your lives because you have a disagreement. So you're both maybe on the right, but you know I'm probably a little more farther right, or you're a little closer to center.
Roc Josia donatet 2 euros trucs superchat. More like Team Full. Votem.
Based. That was an amazing zinger. Big fan of that one. Thank you very much, Rock Josiah. Good one. Good one.
You're not going to be ostracized for this. On the left, you have like a large shift going extreme left, and these people are like tearing down even their own. I think that the Democrat Party and
You guys think I would look hot with that mustache? Should I do that? Would that be hot? Should I do that?
left currently is actually kind of fighting with itself a lot too.
Well, I define wokeness as cult-like adherence to liberal social orthodoxy. And the reason for it is you get a lot of people on the right and they say that wokeness is critical race theory, critical gender theory, Marxist. That's not correct. While that is a large component of liberal orthodoxy, support for Ukraine does not fall into that. People try to shoehorn in by saying, oh, but Ukraine is the weaker being oppressed by the Russians. And I'm like, that doesn't explain NATO expansionism. NATO expansionism is not Russia is small compared to NATO. NATO is encroaching on Russian space. There's a big debate over that. So the oppressor doesn't make sense there. Islam being the second biggest religion in the world and a strong theocratic, fundamentalist, militaristic religion also doesn't quite make sense. It is the adherence to the modern liberal orthodoxy, which is relatively amorphous. And so I pulled up just this real quick example. The four lights from Star Trek. Are you guys familiar with the four lights?
I'm not.
Star Trek The Next Generation, Captain Picard. Oh, everyone's
this
on Trekkie
is
wrong.
gay.
Don't
I
care.
don't know.
Captain Picard is captured by an enemy faction. He's brought into a torture room where the enemy commander has four lights above him, and he says, how many lights do you see? And Picard says, 4. And then he gets electrocuted. And he says, you are incorrect. There are 5 lights. And now, how many lights do you see? And Picard says, 4. He gets electrocuted again. And the whole episode basically finally ends with him screaming in the face of the commander, there are 4 lights, which becomes a cultural meme, especially from among millennials and those who watch The Next Generation, grew up with it. The captain refused to bow to a false reality he was being forced through pain of punishment. That's how I view a lot of younger guys and a lot of people on the right, a lot of post-liberal.
I think that this is like really fucking stupid, in my opinion. If somebody was like gonna shoot me and they were like, how many lights are here? There's actually 5, but I can only see 4. I'd be like, hell yeah, dude, there's 5. You're right. You're goddamn right. There's 5. I see him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's go. All right. Anyway, I'm gonna slowly move this way now. Thank you so much for your time. Like, I would literally die for the truth. It's like, okay, if the truth is like, this sweatshirt is gray, and somebody's like, I'm gonna kill you if you say that sweatshirt is gray, I'd be like, you're right, it's purple. Have a good one, bud. Like, come on.
Scones en jam donatet 2 lliures trucs superchat. Paying di mamacita tex.
Thank you very much, Scones and Jam, for the 2 euros, right? Pounds? Euros? Oh, it's not going to read it because you said asshole. I'm so sorry, Venko. I'll read it out for you. World's easiest leftist slogan, quote, don't be an asshole. I like that. I support that. Double witness, guys. Thank you very much. You're being very generous this afternoon. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Let's just keep going.
Liberals, former liberals, whatever. The left is demanding you adhere to things that are completely false. Otherwise, they will cause you pain. They will take your job. You will be kicked out of social circles. The right has no such precepts. Now, to be fair, that is a bit absolute. The right certainly has some, but it is.
Now, I would also put a timeline on this. I think it's really important to look at a timeline. So I was actually watching your conversation with Bill Maher. Or Bill Maher. How do you pronounce his last name?
Maher, I guess.
Bill Maher?
Yeah.
Yeah, when you were talking to John Mayer. Shut up. Oh, kill me.
And he pointed out to you something that I think is really important, where he talked about like, well, yeah, the left and the right, when we're talking about it from like 2016 to now, I think I agree broadly with your narrative. I might not use like all the same language. Like I don't call it cult, like I call it religious. I think it's like fundamentally religious in like performance.
What is religion other than a cult? Like, be so real with me right now. I fucking hate this bitch so much.
Which not all religions are cults, right? Because like the left isn't making you like abandon your family necessarily. They're making you fight with your family.
Well, I got to pause you there.
They're not making you abandon your family. They're making
Prominent left personalities have said, cut off your family. Even on MSNBC, they've said, don't show up to Thanksgiving. Was it Jen Psaki who was like, don't go to Thanksgiving with your family if they support Trump or something? Maybe it wasn't her, but this is MSNBC.
Sure,
I don't know how she keeps walking into rakes. Like, this is, oh my god. I don't even like Tim Pool. I don't even care about American Nacho.
De caps donatet $5 truc superchat. What is the wins in sound vita from I can't finit?
Oh, thank you for the $5. It's from Mad Max Fury Road. What it's from. Before they sacrifice themselves for Immortan Joe, they go, "Witness me!" and then they kill themselves. Yeah, either way, that's where that's from. Yes, Mad Max.
We saw a wave of this after 2016 when he got elected the first time, which admittedly I wasn't paying as much attention then. And honestly, I followed a little bit more of your kind of line. I actually followed you a lot more in like 2018 because I was also like coming from the left around 2016, getting into politics when I started a family and stuff. You saw a wave of people getting, all this pushback saying, not to, just what you're saying, not to talk to your family, all these videos, and then now, again, you're seeing the same thing on TikTok, waves of them after the election.
Who's that
one?
one?
TikTok,
my family
Sure, but we don't use like, we have to be really cautious.
I really wish that they would have actually just banned fucking TikTok. I'm so tired of it. Ban the internet, okay? That was one thing that I was super in on. I was like, yes, ban fucking TikTok. Ban fucking Twitter. Let's go back to the woods, you guys. Back to the woods. Let's go. Connect with nature. Fuel your ancestral drive to hunt and gather in the wilderness. Like, come on, bro. It's always TikTok. Well, people on TikTok are saying blah, blah. It's like, people on TikTok are saying that if you eat lemons under a full moon, that your ex-boyfriend will come back to you. Like, really? Do I give a fuck what insane people on TikTok are? Who cares? It's ruined everyone.
Cautious, right? So as somebody who's on the left, right, who is friends with lots of people on the left, grew up fundamentalist, right, by the way.
Right.
I don't cut off anyone in my life. I have lots of conservative family. I would never cut them off. I'm very close to my neighbor who is a dogged libertarian.
Yeah, but the exception doesn't make the rule.
No,
we're talking.
True.
This is my argument, right? There are loud, squeaky wheels that we need to do on the left a better job of policing. It is better if the left goes, hold on, that's crazy. Okay, we don't agree with this. The left's problem is that we don't kick out our extreme left, not that the extreme left represents the broad group. The problem with the left, especially my side, is that we're kind of cowardly and soft and status quo. And so we don't speak up to our extreme fringe right, left, which is why like the far left progressives have so much more ability to speak, despite the fact that they're like...
That's literally not true. Because it's only true if you exist exclusively online. Who occupies mainstream media for the Democrats? It's milquetoast fucking liberals and Democrats. That's it. Nancy Pelosi, fucking, oh god, kill me. Who are some other, like, mainstream, normal-ass fucking Democrats? Cory Booker, Rachel Maddow. Like, all of these people are incredibly, like, boring, milquetoast, fucking run-of-the-mill, your average middle-aged white woman, wine mom Democrat. Very boring. That's who occupies political capital on the left. If you exist in the prism of online fucking horseshit, sure. The online people on Twitter are crazy, sure. Who's occupying the Democratic Party right now? It's not crazy, insane fucking leftists who love Hamas and say Hezbollah is fucking based and shit like this. Those aren't the people that are representing the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party itself is very quick to axe off people that are political extremists. Look at, oh god, what's her name? Fuck, Ilhan Omar, AOC, who was the other one? Stacey Abrams, is that who I'm thinking of? Like, all these people that were, like, very progressive. They ran on very progressive platforms. They won grassroots constituencies. They were planning on doing, like, this big socialist fucking woke movement in the left. And now, every single one of them have turned into milquetoast, run-of-the-mill, average Joe Schmo Democrats in order to keep their constituency in their seats. That is what happens in real life politics, is that you get the people bottlenecked into being just like your boring run-of-the-mill fucking Democrat that steps in line, in lockstep with the wants and the needs of the Democratic Party. That's what exists. And the reality is people are sick of that. That's what people are sick of. What people want is a more progressive left-wing platform. Nobody wants the early 2000s Democrats anymore. Nobody wants that. That's why AOC had incredible success. That's why Ilhan Omar had incredible success. That's why Stacey Abrams had incredible success. That's why Hassan Piker is like the biggest leftist content creator right now to kind of bridge the gap for Erudite so her 3 fucking brain cells can hop across the bridge. The reality is people want a more progressive platform, but as soon as they get into office, they neuter their leftist principles, their leftist politics, and their leftist stances in order to maintain constituency, and that's not what people want. That's why people are disillusioned with the Democratic Party in this country, is because they're tired of the same recycled bullshit every single fucking year. They want somebody more radical. They want somebody like Bernie Sanders. That's who they want. And instead, who they get fucking Joe Biden. They get Kamala Harris. That's who they get. People want people further to the left. That's what everybody's asking for. If anything, the problem is that who the Democrats are putting up are not left enough. If you want to be totally fucking real about it, it's not this fucking bullshit where it's like, oh, the loudest people on the left are the crazy progressives. People want the crazy progressives to have the microphone right now. That's what people want. People don't want another Joe Biden. People don't want another Kamala Harris. Fuck, people don't even want another Obama. People want Bernie Sanders. They want AOC. They want the radical leftists. That's who they're asking for. But you and your stupid fucking choker that you got from Sheen thinks for some reason people want another Joe Biden. They don't. The people have spoken. Everybody's tired of your fucking middle of the road bullshit, boring, same shit that we've been getting year in and year out. Everybody wants more radical shit. That's the reality. Grow up.
Actual like functional policies are only like pretty weakly represented within the Democratic Party. The Biden-Obama party is the strong party within the Democrat Party.
So how do you define what left means? What does it mean to be on the left?
I mean, it's like spectrumal, right? But like essentially you're probably going to be pro-welfare state. You're probably going to be pro like trans, gay, LGBTQ. So you're going to be like economically and socially.
Not the gays.
So, but you use you use left in the definition. So pro-trans.
Sure. So yeah, when I use left in the definition, because I think we know, but like when I say socially left, it's usually like you're chill with gay people getting married. You don't really care if trans people exist.
What does that mean? You don't care if trans people exist?
Like you're probably going to support them transitioning, things like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Economic left would be welfare state. You're going to be pro-social safety net, and you're probably going to be pro-regulation of the market. Right? These are typically what we view as left policies.
What about? I mean, there are people on the right that are trans themselves. Are pro-adults being allowed to trans into whatever they want. Count. They're pro-welfare state. Mm-hmm. They're moderate on abortion, but they're still called right.
Well, there's kind of 2 problems. One.
Oh, let's see if she gets this correctly. Because the reality is that there's a splinter in the conservative party right now because of the MAGA movement, essentially. And the reality is that a majority of your conservatives in this country are very, very moderate conservatives. There are people who do believe in social safety nets, but they want them pretty heavily regulated. They really genuinely don't give a fuck about, the government helping people get asylum. They usually are pro-life, but, if as long as the government doesn't pay for it, they don't care. They're usually very anti-gun control. They really don't like gun control, but for the most part, they can be reasonable about it. They probably wouldn't want somebody like Jeffrey Dahmer getting a fucking gun. You could probably get them to move on that. The reality is that conservatives have been, and have historically always been, a pretty moderate platform in the context of law and order, small government, less infringements, more individual rights, lower taxes, people work hard and they get rewarded for it. Okay, that's a traditional conservative platform. What we have now is pure unfettered schizophrenia. That's the reality. I wonder if she's going to be able to nail this, because what Tim Pool is describing is a normal conservative from about 10, 15 years ago. And those are still mostly conservatives. Like, they make up a majority of the conservatives these days. Again, if you filter all of your politics through twitter.com, you're going to know or see a lot of crazy conservatives. The reality is if you have a neighbor that's conservative, your neighbor that's conservative is probably like, yeah, I actually think it's really fucked up that they're deporting people without due process. I think that's wrong. Or, I actually think it's really crazy that they're trying to pass legislation to stop people from being able to do X, Y, and Z to their own bodies as long as they pay for it themselves. because I grew up conservative. I have many conservative friends, many conservative family members. Like, normal conservatives do not act like this crazy MAGA cult hive mind, and most of them don't actually even fucking like Donald Trump because he spits in the face of what are true traditional conservative values. Most people that I know that are conservative, as soon as Donald Trump said that shit about John McCain being a pussy because he was a POW, that was the end of it for him. Because what does the Conservative Party value? Veterans. That's like their favorite thing. They love veterans. They literally drink the cum of veterans for breakfast every single fucking day. They would jerk off 100,000 veterans because they love them so fucking much. So when Donald Trump was like, yeah, John McCain's kind of a pussy. He got captured. What a fucking loser. Everybody was like, hold the fucking phone. That's one of our core values as conservatives is supporting veterans. What are you talking about right now? Like, yes, again, if you lock yourself in the mind prison that is twitter.com, you're going to have these fucking ridiculous views of what normal politics is like in this country. Yes, I completely fucking agree.
Isaki Kentai donatet $4 amb 99 centaus truc superchat. Kangwe Abawan Estrambara I Don Wana Mortal Kombat Fatality Di Person Vera Reacting to.
Witness, thank you very much, Izaki. No, that's kind of like the vibe of the stream is that I'm being tortured and you're going to be tortured with me. So, welcome to hell, bitch.
Is that politics has devolved. I mean, I get called right by a lot of like further left people. I'm obviously not right. So if you want to have, the issue is I can talk to you about the far left and I can talk to you about the liberals and like the space that I'm a part of. And so whichever one you want me to like speak to, I can. In my group, I would say, I'm not sure. You're probably somewhere politically on the spectrum on like moderate, maybe shifting right. I don't know like all of your policies necessarily, but you'd probably be somewhere in the moderate like center space. But performatively, they're going to feel like you were demonstrably right-wing, particularly if your audience is demonstrably right-wing. The way that the far left would view that is that you're far right because they don't even think the Democrat Party is truly left, right?
So here's let's start here. Like we're talking about young men wanting to adhere to reality. They're tired of being told there are 5 lights when there are 4. And the trans issue is a really great example.
Oh, here we go.
It relates to the broader political correctness, but
I'm so scared. Hold me tight. Don't let me go.
You can't get your
before we start talking about trans shit really quick, you guys. Quick. I need this for myself. I need this for me. I went and saw Bring Her Back yesterday. You guys, that movie fucks. That movie fucks. Just for my sanity, I have to share this with you guys before we do this because I am going to crash out in this segment. I certainly am. Wow. Bring Her Back. So good. So good. So good. The brothers that directed Bring Her Back. I thought Talk to Me was pretty gay. I really didn't care that much for Talk to Me. Wow, they totally won me back. Totally won me back. My only criticism is that the actors and the actresses didn't do a good enough job with like their emotions. Like they're supposed to be upset. Like bitches are dying. Like usually when bitches die, you're pretty sad. They weren't. It wasn't believable that they were upset to me. I was like, they don't really give a shit that so and so died. It was kind of like, you could try harder. You know what I mean? But so good, so good, so good. I was not prepared for it. It's very, very viscerally shocking and very gory. So if you don't like that shit, don't go see it. If you don't like that shit. There were several points where I was like squirming in my seat. It was very uncomfortable. It is very gory, very graphic, and very visceral. So if you don't like that, don't go and see it. But still really good, would recommend. Okay, sorry, I'm done.
Average left liberal, I mean both, even a member of Congress, to define woman.
Yeah.
If you're a young guy entering the political space and you see an interaction where a woman says to another woman in Congress, what is a woman? And well, I'm not a biologist. I can't answer that. You're a young guy going, what the fuck?
Sure.
Now, I think for young women, they're saying, I think women are motivated by social hierarchy and social order. Women are subject-oriented on average. Men are object-oriented on average. So that's why I think we get this divide. Young men say, that is insane. Whereas women say, you're speaking out against the group, against the collective.
Well, and it's a bit of a joke, too, to say, men are more rational. But it is true that men are more pragmatic. They're more based in logic and reason. And women can operate a little more emotionally. And so I think they're in fear of hurting the feelings. Like even, I've had discussions with like close, female friends of mine and we have, children and we're discussing things like this. And they're also afraid of what their children are going to grow up in, what their children are going to be taught because the leaders of society can't even define, what things are based off of what you're saying.
Pure inconsistencies like 10-year-olds can't get tattoos but can get puberty blockers.
Right.
And so when you ask like, what's the logic of not telling children they can't permanently alter their bodies when they're minors, except in this one instance. Additionally, you said that one of the things about being left is you're going to be okay with transition and things like this. Then you have the question from young guys and from people in general, why is this the one DSM-5 disorder that we affirm and the others we don't? And there's no answers for this.
Well, there's an answer. It's because transition seems to reduce suicidality by 60%.
False.
It's not false. This is like repeated.
Define suicidality.
Suicidality is an
Define suicidality.
Attempts.
That's incorrect.
That's not incorrect. This is unquestionable.
Chase, what was the Supreme Court argument from the ACLU? Did you listen to that? The ACLU's lawyer said, in fact, it does not to the Supreme Court. And so what we look at is here's
That doesn't mean anything. Like, transition-related care does decrease suicidality, and that has been replicated many times. That's just undeniably true. Now, the problem that you get into when we talk about this is that this has been studied and is well understood in adults, specifically related to medical interventions. This has not been studied or replicated in children. It was the assumption that because this works with adults, it will therefore work with children. And that's people's kind of big bugaboo when it comes to minors transitioning. And to be fair, I kind of share that sentiment. To be, completely transparent, I don't think that kids should be transitioning except for in extreme circumstances or for research purposes. However, it is undeniably true that in adult cohorts, suicidality decreases significantly with medical intervention, including, hormones, surgery, et cetera, et cetera. That is undeniably true. And again, this is one of the frustrations that I have whenever people argue trans shit, because this is a really good point to say, hey, stop really quick, 1 second. Are we talking about adults or are we talking about children? Because these are very distinct cohorts, and I want to be really specific about what we're talking about, because there are probably some things that I would agree with you on when it comes to children accessing medical transition, and there's probably some things that we wouldn't agree on. But I need to know specifically what the fuck we're talking about, because if we're just going to throw everybody into one basket, I can't have this conversation. Because there's such a delineation between the way that we would treat a child that has gender dysphoria and an adult that has gender dysphoria. It's different. And we see different outcomes, okay? This would be a really good point to say, hold the phone, Beady Man. I have a question. Let's see if we can do it.
Here's where I'm at. Don't care about whatever the DSM mental disorder is, be anorexia, bulimia, pica, don't care. What's the treatment? We find that the existing scientific research says that desistance rates, not detransition,
What the fuck did he say pica? Why did he say pica?
And so what we look at is, here's where I'm at. Don't care about whatever the DSM mental disorder is, be anorexia, bulimia, pica, don't care. What's the treatment? We find that the
This is just a fundamental misunderstanding. Gender dysphoria is a dysphoric disorder. Eating disorders are dysmorphic disorders. So a dysmorphic disorder distorts your perception of reality. So that means that even if somebody is, like 71 pounds, literally a walking skeleton, Eugenia Cooney level here, they are having a distorted perception of their body, and they're seeing themselves as fucking fat, even though they're not. Even if they don't have like 0% body fat, okay? They still perceive themselves as fat. It's dysmorphic thinking. It's distorted thinking, okay? Dysphoric disorders are an acceptance of reality with a desire to change it. So you look in the mirror and you see the reality of what your body is, and you say, this doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel like me. I want to change it. They're not comparable. They're completely fucking different. And I don't know why the fuck pica is in here, because pica just means that you eat non-edibles. That's all that you'll eat anything, okay? And the best treatment for that is let people eat non-edibles that aren't dangerous. That's like the number one thing that you do with that, right? If you're somebody who is like, oh my god, I will eat literally anything that you put in front of me, it's like, okay, put like a non-toxic crayon in front of them. Let them snack on that. It's not gonna hurt them. Might upset their stomach, but it's not going to fucking kill them. You just give them non-toxic shit to eat. That's what you do.
Existing scientific research says that desistance rates, not detransition, desistance, where a child who is trans entering puberty simply desists from being trans, is greater than chance. Some estimates between 65 to 90%. Suicidal ideation is around 37 to 40% among people who do transition. That would imply there's a greater possibility to reduce suicidal ideation by not intervening with medical treatment.
The other option is actually to affirm the birth given gender. I tried to look up some studies for this, and I don't think there's ever been any studies done where they're specifically on people who have body dysmorphia or
Wrong. That's the Davida Singh study that actually exists. When you practice conversion therapy, desistance rates are actually incredibly high, but suicidality also goes up with that. So if you say, I'm going to only affirm you in your assigned sex, not your identified sex or whatever the fuck, there is literature that shows that people will like desist in that identity, but all that shows is that they're kind of like, okay, fine, whatever, I guess I'm not trans, like, cool, that, yeah, whatever you say, dude. And then their rates of suicidality go through the roof. Yeah.
Trans, ideology or whatever, and think they're another gender and are trying to transition, being given like testosterone if they're male and estrogen if they're female. But there are studies that have been done that are given to patients who have depression. And I'm pretty sure there's a handful of studies that were double blind where they give them testosterone or estrogen.
You cannot do double blind studies with this. This is also a lie. You can't do double blind studies with this. The same way that you can't do double blind studies with like fucking insulin. You can't do it. You can't not give a diabetic insulin, and you can't give a non-diabetic excess insulin. It's unethical. You can't do it. There are some studies that you cannot do double-blind studies for, and this is one of them. You just literally cannot fucking do it. That's not how that works.
And it decreases their depression rates.
Sure. So this is where I want to go back to this timeline conversation, right? I'm not here interested in defending the crazy left. Most of my career was spent fighting them, right? I fought most of these people most of my career because I believe that if the left wants to represent anything...
What career? What career? What career? We haven't been... She streams like maybe once a month. What career? What are we talking about? The only reason that you're popular is because Destiny gave you a fucking podcast that nobody watches anymore. That's completely fallen off on Patreon because you're probably the least interesting part of that podcast. And now that it's all yours, nobody wants to watch it because you're boring as fuck. Crazy.
Need to have a strong back. They need to believe in something, and they need to kick out their extremists, right? And I think that the left failed to do that. The issue is that a lot of people are looking at the left and right, and they're looking 2016 to now, and they're not looking at, say, 2016 to 1970.
Yeah, but you would consider yourself to be probably in support of that position, right?
Which position?
About, gender affirming care.
It depends on what you mean when you say gender
for children
care.
Specifically.
By and large, I'm pretty skeptical about the process by which we properly evaluate children.
Generally support it, though, right?
If it's managed better, right now, I think it's too experimental. I think
you're right. But you separate yourself from the extreme left, and like as more of a layperson, sort of on the right. I mean, that's extreme left to me.
What I mean,
even considering...
I don't even think you've gotten to what I'm saying, though, right? Like, the issue is that, like, we can talk about the far left, and I'm probably just going to agree with you that there's a lot of crazies. The timeline conversation that we need to have is we need to remember what it was like from, like, 1990 to 2016 when the right had a lot of strong cultural war. I remember growing up in a very conservative idea where evolution was viewed as evil and bad and anti-everything.
That's not even necessarily a conservative viewpoint. That's an evangelical viewpoint. Because, like, there are plenty of conservatives that agree with the theory of evolution. Like... If anything, I would say that conservatives lean like she's just putting too many things in one pot and trying to describe all of these things as like traditionally conservative. She just doesn't understand what the word traditional means because traditionally conservatives are more often, especially than liberals and leftists, evangelical. But the disagreement for the theory of evolution is religiosity. It's not conservatism, it's religiosity. It just happens to be true that more conservatives are evangelical or Christian than leftists. That's all that is. There's more crime related to ice cream sales. Do you know what that means? Ice cream causes crime. No, dumb fuck. It just means that when it's hot outside and it's nice out, when it's hot enough to sell ice cream, people are outside more, which means there's more crime. I haven't smoked in a long time, you guys, but you know what I want right now? A cigarette.
This is an anti-science perspective that was dominant on the right. And it feels like we've forgotten about this. I grew up in a school where parents were advocating to remove any mention of evolution, any mention of adaptations over time. They just wanted to basically cut out a large portion.
I don't know where the fuck this was happening. I have no clue. I went to Catholic school and we were taught evolution. In Catholic school. In Catholic school. In religious school. In Catholic school. We learned about evolution. We learned about that. I don't know where the fuck this bitch grew up. I don't know if she grew up on like a farm in the middle of buttfuck nowhere, and in between classes they were like churning butter and shit. I don't fucking know. But what are you talking about right now? When was this?
Portion of biological science. And so while I agree that the left won the culture war in 2016, well, they canceled their opponents off of it mostly, and they did a lot of bad stuff. And they went too far. I would just agree with that. The issue is that I'm still fundamentally left because my principles and my policies fall left. And I believe in a party, whatever party it is, that stands up for those things that I value.
Which specific, so outside of the crazy left stuff, what particularly would you look for in a party?
Strong institutions.
What does that mean?
Strong institutions means institutions that are effective, that are power balanced, and are reactive with speed.
Does this mean like the FBI? Or the Federal Reserve? Like what institutions do you mean?
Most of them. So like most of the institutions that I think that we've erected are by and large pretty good. I think there's good reason for them, though I don't know all of the FBI. Sure, but I don't know like all of the history for it. I'm willing to basically grant that I'm not smarter than like 200 years of American institutional development to just assume that I know better than the FBI necessarily, right?
I'm not trying to, I thought I got you. I mean, like when you say the institutions, does it mean universities? Does it mean the post?
Universities, healthcare, the three branches of the government, the central banking, the
banking, wow.
Yeah, the NGO that exists to kind of like counterbalance and third-party check certain things. So when I talk about the institutions, I'm talking broadly about most of the institutions. The CDC,
but I think you recognize many of them grow corrupt over a long period of time, right?
Right. So this would be my counter. On the left, we say strong institutions, and the problem is that I think a lot of them have become rigid. And I don't know if you know much about metalsmithing, but there's this idea. But there's this idea when you're building swords, for example, you need to have a strong sword. It needs to be both flexible and strong. So if it's too hard and not flexible, it'll break.
Too
right? And if it's too
hard.
flexible but not hard enough, it'll bend. And so when I say strong institutions, I mean basically the properly crafted sword. It needs to be flexible enough to react to stuff, which I think proceduralism has killed their flexibility, but it needs to be strong enough to withstand people who might want to attack the Constitution, people who might want to be corrupt, which most people that enter politics are probably somewhat corrupt to some degree.
This is really boring because it's like if you've ever seen an Erudite video, they're all like this. It's the same talking points. They're super fucking boring, and it is just recycled Destiny talking points. This is like shit that Destiny says all the time. If you ever watch a Destiny video, you've seen every single fucking take Not So Erudite will ever give because it's the exact same fucking thing. Like no shot. It's incredible. It's fucking incredible. Just like a chameleon, like a little shapeshifter. It's very, very very odd to me. Very odd to me.
Right? It needs to be able to withstand these things with the assumption of what incentive structures do to human nature.
So who did you vote for in 2024?
I'm not American, so.
Oh, you're not American?
No.
Oh, you Canadian?
I'm Canadian.
All these Canadians come to our country trying to influence our politics.
Yeah,
Foreign different
true.
things to do. Okay, who'd you vote for in Canada, Trudeau?
As Tim Pool was taking money from Russia. Pot meat kettle.
I didn't vote in this last election because I haven't been in the country for like almost 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Before that was Aaron O'Toole, who's a conservative. Before that was NDP.
you voted for a conservative?
Yep, I vote all. In Canada, we don't have this like.
Yeah, you vote for a party, don't you?
Well, we have like 6, right? It's less culturally baked in that like if you're a conservative, you're always conservative and forever conservative. Like most people in Canada will vote like maybe NDP locally. At a provincial level, they might vote like Liberal, and then at a federal level, they might vote like something else, right? Like that's pretty standard in Canada.
So U.S.-wise, you would probably still find yourself aligned with the Democratic Party.
Yeah, theoretically, if I had been able to vote and I was American, I probably would have voted.
This is what I can't understand. I mean, by all means, criticize the Trump administration, whatever. I don't care. The Obama administration. I'm not going to speak to anyone before when like Bill Clinton. I can say very little about. I was a child, but I can say that Bush sucked and violated the Constitution. Obama sucked, violated the Constitution. And we can go into great detail how.
Oh my God, he's gonna slander my boy, George W. Bush. He's gonna slander my boy, not good old George W. Bush. You know, they made the cardboard cutouts of Bush. And then when he got real passionate about topics, his little southern drawl would come out. My boy, George Bush. I miss the good old days when the worst conservative that we had to face was George Bush. All right, those were good times, you guys. Like, oh my God. Do you guys remember when Mitt Romney was like the worst thing that's ever fucking happened in your entire fucking life? God, I wish I could go back. Mitt Romney wants to put restrictions on birth control, and we were like, oh my God, this is like 9/11, but worse. And now look at where we are. We didn't appreciate it, you know? We didn't appreciate where we were at the time. It's crazy. It's crazy to look back.
And Joe Biden and his administration was probably the most egregious violation of constitutional norms and our institutions that I've ever seen in my life.
Sure, and then now we have like 2024. Trump,
Okay.
I would argue is like also violating the Constitution, like pretty
Oh, wow.
openly.
Here
and
we
so
go.
I guess my question to you would be,
Oh, wow.
I don't really want to participate in any of this. First of all, if I was an American, I'd be voting in my midterms and my primaries and my locals, right? Not just my federal, which most people don't even do. Most people that complain about their politics don't even vote at their primaries, which is how you get the nuance in your own party. If you're mad, like this is what I say to
nuance.
leftists, if you're mad that the Democrats don't represent you, vote in your primaries. If you're not voting in your primaries, you'll never get represented at a federal level. Like, what are you even talking about?
What are they? There's a word for this when someone believes in voting to change things. The left uses. I forgot what it was.
Probably a stupid liberal.
Drew.
It's like votarian or like it's some word like that. Voterist or something. A person who believes that voting will change the system.
I believe in democracy, right?
Take that, Hitler. I cast my ballot to have you no longer chancellor. And Hitler's like, no! Ah! And he like incinerates. Drew. Drew.
And I think democracy is the best system we've arrived at thus far. Not because I think democracy is a fundamental good or capitalism. I think that they are two systems that we have created that take incentive structures that almost make people.
Listen up, young men. Fucks another man in front of my husband. Yes, if there's one thing that young men love, it's being told what to do by rapidly aging Canadian cuck queen who's been kicked in the head by a horse. Young men love this. It's true. It's science. It's science. If you don't like her, you're not a real man. Men, witness your queen. She will save you.
People always do bad shit, power, money, greed. And it has, with those incentive structures, made the best country with the most human rights and the most flourishing in all of human history.
But we aren't a democracy.
we are a democracy.
The United States is a constitutional republic with democratically elected representatives.
Do you know why the founders said a constitutional republic? Because liberal democracy wasn't a term that was invented yet.
Liberal democracy is like a semantic term historically to represent countries that function with some kind of electoral
So is a
organism.
constitutional republic, because if you look back at the constitutional republic and what they describe, it later became what we know now as a liberal democracy. The reason that the founding fathers, like Hamilton and Madison, who are the people writing on this in the
wow.
original letters,
She
the reason
knows
that they
names.
explicitly talk about not using the word democracy, because when they think of democracy, they thought of the Greeks, and they're like, well, we don't want some like crazy, like just vote by population democracy. We don't like that thing. We want something that is more like essentially what we have now, which is a liberal democracy.
Republicanism.
Yeah,
Various jurisdictions who send an elected representative to go and represent the interests of the area.
Sure. The issue is that like we just do have a democracy. Like we're fundamentally, if in every way we're functioning as a democracy, we're acting as a democracy, we're voting, then like at some point we have to call the duck a duck.
Does anyone like actually give a fuck about like this?
Technically speaking, it's not a democracy because you vote for representatives. It's like, I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. You fill in the bubble and then you do the thing, and then that's the rest is history, as they say. Like, oh my god. Technically, an ice cube is technically water, but it's water in its liquid state or in its solid state. So technically, it's not really water, but like if you let it melt, it would be wow.
Maybe I'm out of touch. Maybe this is what why young men are leaving the left, you guys. Maybe this is why, because we have to play semantic dick measure with every single fucking thing. Maybe this is why, as a young man, I'm exhausted. I don't shut up. Can you get back on what is happening? I thought we were here to talk about young men, and we're arguing about ducks now. Yeah, as a young man, I am also exhausted. Jesus Christ.
Like I feel like
Except Congress does not enact policy based on the will of the people. That's a fact. It's usually the will of the wealthy and the elite. Which is what the founding fathers
Wow.
intended, which is why the 17th Amendment got ratified in the early 1900s.
That's the J
Because
boys,
original
is what
idea
he's
of
saying.
how senators were sent to Congress at the federal level was that your state reps would choose to represent the state. So you would vote for a state rep who would then, in their own council, say, we want our state senator to be that guy over there, and no one had a say in it. So in the early 1900s, they were like, hey, the
Based.
problem is they're sending cronies, so we're going to change this. I don't actually agree. I think they did it because it allowed this.
Cronies. That's a word I haven't heard in a long time. Don't cite the ancient magic to me, which I was there when it was written.
Version of state choice, state authority. But the general idea among the founding fathers was that we needed, quote, better men to decide for the public, not a democracy.
right. This is why you have the electoral college in the first place. This is why I tell people vote in your primaries. But this is a democracy, right? Just because you vote for an elected and then that elected gets to make decisions on your behalf, this is still fundamentally in every way democracy, right? The function of a democracy is that the will
I
of the
agree.
people transfer their authority and their power to an elect who then speaks for them. And we can talk about whether or not the people who speak for them do a good enough job. You and I would probably agree a lot.
Well,
Because I'm very critical of it.
Do you think in the past 100 years, the U.S. government has actually enacted policies at the will of the American people?
By and large, yes.
I think the data shows us that the answer is no, they don't. There was the Plutonomy article from Citibank 14 years ago, where Citibank drafted this internal paper with a bunch of financial interests saying the United States is not a democracy, it is a plutonomy where the wealthy control the political class and the political class enacts the interest of the wealthy elite. I think that's actually fascinating because I would assume...
You know what's really crazy? Like, if you go to your local tribe house, you have that exact statement, like, written on the wall in Sharpie. It's very true. It's very true. It's a plutocracy. It's very true. If you also spend a lot of time around schizophrenic people, they kind of utter the same sentiments. It's amazing. There are cathedrals everywhere for those with eyes to see. You know what I mean? It's crazy. It's crazy. I've seen that exact statement scribbled on the walls of a trap house before. It's amazing. It's crazy. Like, wow, such intellectual discussions happening here.
Is largely that, yeah, politicians don't represent our interests. They represent the lobbyists, the corporations.
It's because you were
military-industrial
mixing me
complex.
up with like far left
I'm
people.
not mixing you up. I'm saying it's interesting that you would assert that when the left liberal, Occupy Wall Street, the moderate, largely view corporations as unduly influencing our political system.
I think most people would agree, though. Like the issue is that this is my issue with leftists too. Just because there is corruption, it doesn't mean that the like that democracy isn't occurring necessarily. We can definitely say corruption is happening and there's something that needs to be done about it. But essentially, my question would be, what's the alternative? Do you
That's a really interesting question. Is it still democracy if there's corruption? If, let's just say hypothetically, during January 6th, they essentially got them to throw out some of the votes, and they didn't certify Joe Biden as president. That was a democratic process, right? The Supreme Court or whatever stepped in and said, no, we're not going to certify the votes. Donald Trump is going to remain president, and we're not going to swear in Joe Biden. Is that democracy then? Just because it's like the official, it's done officially, quote unquote, it's still democracy? I don't know. I think that the existence of corruption does actually delude the truth of democracy, yeah. Like, if we all vote for, say everybody just did way too much ketamine, and everybody wants Elon Musk as president, let's just pretend that happens for a second. If everybody votes for Elon Musk and then they're like, actually, we're not going to certify these votes, we're going to go ahead and elect Elizabeth Warren. Is that still democracy, even though there's corruption like occurring right in front of our very eyes? I don't know.
You want America not to be a democracy?
Well, I guess the issue is how you define the phrase democracy, right?
Do you want to take away people's right to vote?
Yes.
Again,
I mean, no.
all people everywhere all the time. Do we want to put
everything everywhere all at once? Great movie. Well,
restrictions on voting? Do we want to open up voting to
I'm asking you. I genuinely, I don't know your position.
Right. So when you say, do you want to take away people's right to vote? What's going to happen is there's going to be a semantic manipulation on the left where they say people means everyone. And then what you'll get on the right is something like they'll reference Starship Troopers, service guarantees citizenship.
Starship Troopers,
when you allow people who are not citizens to vote, which some jurisdictions are doing, like in California, they're trying, you are going to get a representation of non-citizens. And what are the non-citizens going to vote for? They're going to vote for their families back home. Why wouldn't they? I expect them to vote for their families, right?
Sure. And I would agree that there should be like some limit on who gets to vote, right? This is why I think citizenship is a really good standard by which who gets to vote, right? There's also even a good question like, should expats get to vote? If you've been in the country for 30 years.
Just Erudite's existence alone makes me support, who is it, Ann Coulter? That's like, we shouldn't let women vote. Ann Coulter, I completely fucking agree. Wow. I've never agreed with Ann Coulter more than I do in this moment. You know, horse girl, the horse girl. Ann Coulter, you know, knows what's up. Let's go.
Even though you're still a citizen, what's your like?
You pay taxes.
You pay taxes. Yeah, Americans do. Expat Americans do. Canadian, should I be voting as a Canadian if I haven't been in my country for like 20 years because we don't have to pay taxes to Canada? I don't know the answer to this, right? So I'm willing to grant that there should be limitations to who votes. My question to you is still, essentially, are you opposed to America being a democracy?
Again, it depends on what you mean by democracy.
A transfer of the people of power to an elected official who then does their will.
I love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you want it to look like?
Not like it looks now, to be completely honest.
That's fine, but what do you want it to look like?
Yeah, like a person goes for the people, has a conversation over what the representative bloc wants to see happen in their various political structures, be it the state level, local, city, or otherwise.
Sure.
And all these bitches are fucking liars. Do you want to know why? If everybody, like, let's just say that there was a secret, hidden, a silent majority, okay? Let's say that tomorrow a law is passed, and every single person that is of voting age in the United States has to vote, otherwise they're going to go to jail. Let's say that gets passed. And let's say we have our 99.9% voter turnout. And let's say 85% of America says, you know what? We want to try communism. We want to do it. We're just going to do it. Fuck it. Let's just do it. 85% of Americans are like, we want communism. That is pure, unadulterated democracy in its purest form right there. The American people have spoken. You think Tim Pool would be like, actually sick, let's do it? He'd be like, wait, hang on, guys, I was kidding, hang on, wait, democracy is not working, it's not working, we need to get rid of it, guys, please. If you want true democracy, you're a fucking liar. You don't want true democracy. You want quote-unquote democracy as long as it supports your ends. And you can't be a coward and not admit that, right? Like, if everybody came out tomorrow, if there was, like, a poll that was done, and let's say, like, 90% of America was like, yeah, we should bring back slavery, actually. That was pretty fucking cool. I'd be like, maybe we don't do that. I totally hear you when you say that's something that everybody wants, but I don't care. We probably shouldn't enslave other human beings, guys. Maybe we shouldn't do that. Anybody who's like, no, dude, I'm like a total, like, zero-sum game, like, I support democracy, period. That bitch is a liar. Because if they voted collectively tomorrow to cannibalize and eat you in front of your family, you wouldn't be like, democracy. You'd be like, oh, fuck! Just kidding. We can't vote anymore, guys. Voting's gay. I actually hate voting. Stop. Like, liars.
Go and then enact the will of their voter base and to the best interest they possibly could.
Without the pit stop at the NGOs and the lobbyists and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yep. And not having luxury steak dinners or being flown in private jets or going on boats and all that stuff.
Sure. Okay. So we should
Not
get money out of
boats.
politics
I
and
hate
buy
boats.
votes. Okay. So I would totally agree with you. Like, carry committees are the worst thing ever that happened. And the problem is that now we have a Mullick's game, right? This is the big issue with politics is that and this is my biggest criticism of the carry committee, is that essentially just to make sure everyone is aware of like what a carry committee is and stuff like that.
Not aware.
Okay. Just want to make sure. And it's fine. You don't need to know esoteric words. It's not a gotcha. So a carry committee.
It's fine that you're fucking stupid. Allow me to explain this very simple concept to you, dumb man. A woman is speaking. Silence! A woman is speaking.
Is essentially what we call like a super PAC. It's usually going to be a combination of, sometimes it'll be a nonprofit or a charity, a C4 and a C3, and sometimes there'll be some other little fun things thrown in there, but that's essentially what it is. And essentially this combination of things allows infinite donations, some of them, most of them, which can be hidden.
Hang on, I have to go to the bathroom. Let me know if anything exciting happens. I'll be right back. Just let me know if something cool happens. I'll be right back.
Because they would be a C3, right? Which means that they're bipartisan, and then they usually are not bipartisan. And this is true on both sides, just so it's clear. Both sides are doing this. So carry committees get introduced. And the problem now is that if you want to run for federal office, ever, good luck without a carry committee. You must participate in the evil thing that you despise, because if you don't, you will be limited in how much money you can raise. And the reality is that money does make elections work, which is gross, but how are you going to get your ads out? How are you going to pay for your tour? How are you going to pay for your staffers? How are you going to pay for your flyers, right? So money has to be infused to some degree in a democracy.
There's no way not to do it.
Exactly. And so then this issue goes, okay, well, if everyone, even if they want to play the game, even if we've got Jesus, okay, Jesus comes down and he's going to become a politician, which I would argue he would never do, but say he does.
I'd vote for him.
Jesus, me too. I would vote.
Yeah, me
I'd rather fuck for Jesus. Okay. The question is, Jesus also will have to have a carry committee. This is the Mullick's game, where essentially once the bad thing is in play, if you don't participate, you don't get to play at all. And so now we have this issue where we already have a bad thing, in this case, just the carry committee, and both sides have to participate. And the issue is now there's no incentive to get rid of it because nobody's going to canvass and like promote themselves on saying I'm anti-carry committee, because if they do, they will get no funding.
So, isn't this kind of part of the problem though? Like, if we're trying to figure out why men are leaving the left, we're not able to have a conversation like this with most people on the left, to be honest. The people that, and currently there's no evidence that shows that the Democratic Party is interested in having people like that represent them. The people that they're supporting, the Parkers, the Harry Sissons, the Deans, all that stuff. And then this just recently, they put up that lady Olivia Giuliani or whatever that was going around on X. There's no evidence that they're even willing to concede on any of their positions.
Let me tell you. So we did a live event for the show, and we're planning a series of live shows. That was a pilot. We're trying to figure out how it works. I can tweet who wants to come and debate on the culture war, and on the right, you'll get 500,000 responses. I'll get text from Charlie Kirk saying, I'd love to find some dates that work. On the left, they say, contact my agent, and we'll give you our rates. Then if a few people I'll give credit to, the Krasensteins, as much as, there's contention between our opinions.
They're fun to make fun of.
Absolutely. But I respect that they've come on the show. They've said, let us know when you have dates. We'd love to be a part of the conversation. And very few people want to do these things. And so that makes it impossible. I think the reason why is the fear that if you defy the orthodoxy, you'll be excommunicated.
Yep.
Or it's like a huge pain in the ass that people like don't want to fly. Where is he? He's in like in Washington, D.C. or something, right? Wow, normal people that have like a normal fucking job and like a normal fucking schedule and normal life things want to interrupt their fucking life to fly all the way to Washington, D.C. to do an IRL podcast. Or maybe people just like have better things to do with their time. I don't know. Like people can still have opinions and shit like that. And I mean, realistically, if we're to believe this bullshit that, there's no such thing as the alt-left media online, which there certainly is. What do you gain as somebody who's like on the left with engaging with these platforms? It's like everybody's self-interested. The real answer is always really boring. The real answer is not like there's a hidden cabal and leftists are actually secretly controlled by the state of Israel and they get orders from the top down that say they can never go on Tim Pool's podcast ever. That's not what's happening. It's just people are self-interested. They're like, I don't really get anything out of this. It's a huge inconvenience for me to take time out of my week to fly all the fucking way to Washington, D.C. I'm not going to do it. That sounds super fucking gay. And that's it. People are just self-interested. The answer is boring.
Fully audience captured. I mean, his friend Harry Sisson.
Canceled on us.
It's crazy.
I'm sure he did, right?
Yeah, he got scared.
They all do though. That's what I was gonna bring up too in regard to all of them. It's like I think a big problem too is that this new TikTok culture, like you're saying, has them audience captured. And what is the audience on TikTok? TikTok is largely designed for women.
It's got to be left leaning.
It's a lot of female users, more than like any other app. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Anytime I defend feminism, I do well. Anytime I defend men, not so good.
So these platforms are shaping
TikTok
these young influencers, and then they're terrified to go anywhere.
What's her TikTok? Does she have? Not so erudite. TikTok. At not so erudite. Bro, no shot. How do I have more followers on TikTok than she does? That's fucking insane. That's funny. Very funny. Very funny. Cool. No one gives a shit. Next.
Or without their mute button.
Sure, but there's like TikTok is a hell of a problem to get into, right? So you gotta talk about like China and all these other like blah 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 blah.
Not China, bro.
This goes back to my timeline, right? Which is essentially for me to say, do I think the left fucked up by letting the progressives win the culture war? Yes, I think they did, because I don't think the progressives actually represent most people. And now, unfortunately, they've convinced a bunch of young stupid kids that they do. And so a bunch of kids put like a black box in their Instagram to pretend that they care about black people, but they still find like the unk biking down the highway with like loud music annoying and stuff like that, right? Like in all ways, there's this performance.
Pardon?
Still find like the unk biking down the highway with like loud music.
Is she allowed to say that? Is that something that white people are allowed to say? Also, yeah, I find anybody, regardless of race, that plays music out loud without speak without headphones, annoying. Yeah, yes. Yeah, there is no race associated with that at all because white people do that shit too. I cannot stand a bitch that doesn't know what a fucking pair of headphones are. What did she say?
Music annoying and stuff like that, right? Like in all ways, there's this performance that I think has ransacked the left in a way that I think is repugnant. The issue is that the real question is why be left? And the reason that I'm left is because when I go all the way back and I look at the systems that I believe in, I fundamentally keep falling left. I just fundamentally do. And so then the only question is, I guess I have to fight for.
Wow, what a great debate strategy. Why are you left? I just am. Wow, good answer. I like that. I think I'm gonna vote Republican next election cycle. I think I'm gonna do it, guys. I think that's it. I mean, I voted Republican in the past, but that's for another time. We'll talk about that another time.
Within the group, right?
My opinion is that the most logical, rational place for you to be would be voting for Donald Trump, and you're choosing not to, and you're just coming up with reasons why it can sound like you're still part of that tribe.
Nope, because I don't believe in what I think Trump advocates for. Like, I fundamentally think that Trump doesn't reflect my values.
So you have in the Trump coalition RFK Jr., which is a predominantly left health worldview that was dominant for decades. That is, people criticize him on vaccine stuff, but he's been pro-vaccine.
Yeah, he's historically been pro-vaccine, but he's not now. That's the problem. No. He's like, for most of his career, he's like, yeah, vaccines are good. You probably don't want to get measles and die. And now he's like, if you inject measles directly into the bloodstream, you'll be healthier than you've ever been before. It's like, yeah, I actually completely disagree with that, yes. But he used to be so good about vaccines. Yeah, but he's not now, bitch. That's the concern here, okay? That's the concern here. And to be fair, I completely agree. Ban red dye number 5 or whatever it is. Number 4, number 5. Linked to autism, by the way. Okay? That's where there's so much autism going around. It's the red dye number 4. I would know because I fucking love Mountain Dew Code Red, okay? Like, shit like that I think everybody can get behind. Okay, maybe we shouldn't have, like, microplastics in our fucking food. Okay, I completely agree. Maybe we shouldn't have, 4,000 different chemicals that are, used as preservatives. Maybe we shouldn't do that. Maybe we should, pay a little bit more for shorter shelf lives for better quality food. I completely agree. That's totally fine. They seem to do just fine in other countries without a million different fucking preservatives and shit put in their food. Seems to be fine. Seems great to me. Okay, cool. And then it's like, well, let's actually inject everybody with monkeypox so they build a natural immunity. It's like, whoa! Back up. You fucking lost me there, okay? You fucking lost me there. And then also, talking about banning certain kinds of medication, that's fucking crazy. Do you know what will happen to me if they ban stimulants? Do you know what my life will become? My wife has, like, terminal ADHD. Like, terminal. Like, I can't live like that. It's not about her. It's not about her. I cannot be around unmedicated ADHD people. I can't do it. They need to be medicated, okay? It drives me insane. Like, hello? Like, yes, most people would agree, generally speaking, America is a pretty fucking unhealthy country, okay? A lot of fat people, a lot of lazy people, a lot of out-of-shape people, a lot of people with cancer, a lot of sick people. I think everybody completely agrees with that, okay? Everybody's like, yeah, we are generally a pretty unhealthy nation. Maybe we should work on that. I think that's fair. I think most people would generally agree with that. But then when we're like, let's kill anybody who eats donuts, it's like, okay, you lost me. You lost me again. I was there with you. I completely understand. And then it's like, well, now it's illegal to buy Hamburger Helper. And it's like, fuck you. I love my Comfort Hamburger Helper. I'm not on board anymore. You lost me. You know what I mean?
The whole time, even recommending the MMR vaccine. And no artificial food dyes. The health craze was a left culture war my whole life until these past several years. The right started picking up these things because the left had abandoned it and started siding with weird corporate interests on food stuff.
Yeah, partisan hacks are bad.
Tulsi Gabbard is anti-military industrial complex, anti-interventionist, and anti-regime change, which has been a position of the left my whole life. And so I look at Donald Trump and he says, we want a border barrier. That was Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders' position even up to 2016. And so looking at what Donald Trump is offering.
Do you know who voted no on the most comprehensive border bill that has ever been submitted to Congress? Republicans. That's half the fucking problem. Because there are things that are partisan issues that everybody fucking agrees on. Do you know who sabotages those? Republicans! Everybody agrees we don't want fucking murderers and killers coming and getting, like, citizenship here. Like, imagine Jeffrey Dahmer was from a foreign country. We wouldn't let his ass in here. Obviously, fucking duh. Nobody wants that. It's the same thing where it's like, well, should we let people who have unmedicated schizophrenia and think that demons live in the souls of children have access to an AR-15? Every single person alive says no. Everyone agrees with that. Duh. It's conservatives that kill these bills. I'm crashing out.
offering. He's moderate on abortion to the chagrin of conservatives. He's got left-coded anti-war, which is not left anymore. I don't know. Now they're pro-war, I guess, pro-war with Ukraine. Donald Trump may be moderate right-wing on a lot of issues, and he's built a moderate left-leaning coalition that satisfies a lot of my liberal policy views. So it makes literally no sense, in my opinion, then, for someone to be like, to defend the Constitution, we're going to support the Democrats. And I'm like, yeah, they arrested Trump's lawyers. That's unconstitutional. That's like an egregious violation of institutions and norms in this country. And they did it in numerous states. They falsely accused Trump of several crimes. They violate statute of limitations. Now you've got Letitia James.
Wasn't he literally convicted? What do we falsely accused? Usually means you're accused with no. Wasn't he literally convicted? Like 40 times? I don't know. I'm just a dumb woman. I don't know.
Accusing Trump of mortgage fraud for paperwork he didn't even handle. And what I view as the divide between left and right, once again, going back to why young men are leaving, on this, I was saying to Bill Maher, you are left or right not based on your policy views. You are left or right based on what you believe to be true. And Bill agreed, despite the fact that we believe different things. So, for instance, he said, yeah, Trump wasn't a Russian agent, but he was certainly working with the Russians, and he lied. And when I brought up the Ukraine scandal, he didn't know about it. He did not know that in 2017, Politico reported, at the same time as they were accusing Trump of colluding with Russia, Ukraine and the Democrats were literally colluding to assist Hillary Clinton to win, and it backfired. And it caused problems. We had Hunter Avalon on Timcast IRL. I pointed out that Joe Biden said, quote, if you don't fire the prosecutor.
I wish that anybody cared as much about me as conservatives care about Hunter Biden's dick and Hillary Clinton's emails. Like, to be loved is to be seen, is it not? I wish anybody, like, find a man who obsesses over you the way that conservatives obsess over fucking Hillary Clinton's emails. Like, let's talk about whataboutism really quick. Let's do a whataboutism, okay? Oh, Hillary Clinton sent, like, one email from an unsecured private email server. Okay, that's bad. Whatever. What about the literal members of the fucking Trump cabinet being in a group chat with a New York Times fucking news reporter, and they're texting back and forth about drone strikes and Tomahawk missiles and military operations and strikes in Syria? Does that not count? Do we not? What about that? What about that? What about a literal group chat with the boys where you're like, LOL just ordered 20 more Tomahawk missiles, tee. And that's in, like, your fucking group chat. No official correspondence. You're literally on, like, Kick. And you're sending messages back and forth about how many fucking Houthis you're gonna blow out. Like, come on. Come on. I thought this was about men. We're not spending a lot of time not talking about men.
You're not getting $1 billion. He immediately smirked and said it never happened. And I played the video for him. And he was like, no idea that it happened. So what I typically run into is liberals tend not to know what's going on in the world. And probably the reason why they're scared to do shows is because they default to, I didn't know that. And so we've even offered up a certain friendly little person, I'll leave their name out of it because I'm not going to try and drag them, who, dirtbag leftist types. They're anti-woke, but they're leftist politically. They cancel us all the time because they know they're going to sit down and they're going to end up sounding like Alex Jones. I'm going to pull up an article from the New York Times that says a Ukraine court ruled that they illegally interfered in the U.S. election to aid the Democrats, and they're going to have to reconcile with that and say, yes, that happened. But then when they go back to their Democrat circles, they're going to say, how dare you make that claim?
Well, I was actually like a Yang Gang kind of guy leading up to like the 2020 election.
Yang Gang.
And something that turned me back towards Trump
was, relic.
Just like you're saying, I started seeing all these articles. A couple of them I think you covered on your show.
Isaki Kentai donatet $1 amb 99 centaus trucs superchat. Malcolm Usaid, you play Kotu, is that not cool?
Everybody witness, thank you, Hazaki. I love Call of Duty. It's like the coolest shit ever. It's so fun. Everybody loves Call of Duty, you guys. It's the best. How can you not like it? The classic. Come on, grow up.
Remember the one about there's a video of Trump. There may or may not be a video of Trump in an elevator.
That one, dude.
It's like the most bizarre headline I've ever heard. It's a great one. Then another one was, of course, the one you just went over with Adam Conover. That clip was going everywhere.
Look at this.
There were great people on both sides.
Come on,
let's see it.
A tape might exist of Trump doing something in an elevator, though exactly where that somewhere is and what that something might be, no one in media can say. That's funny. Because no one in media seems to have seen the tape or is even confident it exists. Yo, Huffington Post literally wrote an article about Trump may or may not have done something that may have been recorded. We don't know if it was recorded. We don't know what it is.
Yep. And then another my top three. Those are my three favorite ones. That one, there were good people on both sides, and then the Trump puts ketchup on his steak.
Right.
And that one hit home for me because I grew up like dirt poor.
Oh, you're talking about the drone strike thing. Oh, well, it's different. It's fantasy, okay? Let me have my fantasies.
There's 8 kids in my family.
Let's try this one.
I put ketchup on my steak because we were eating cheap steak.
I'm actually going to make the bet you'll get it right. Did Donald Trump call white supremacists fine people?
I don't think so.
What did he say?
He said there were fine people on both sides, and that's when he was talking about Charlottesville, the Unite the Right protest, where that girl, her name was Heather. She got killed because white supremacists decided to drive his fucking car into a crowd of people, and he killed her. And they went there to scream with their little tiki torches, which is so gay. Tiki torches, come on, gay. They went to go and scream, Jews will not replace us, or whatever the fuck their little chants are.
that they do. How cute, you guys. They're doing like patty cake, Hitler's cool. He is my favorite kind of ghoul. It's like very, very gay. It's like the gayest shit ever. But they went and did their little patty cake shit or whatever, and they killed people. And so people went out to counter protest. They were like, we obviously don't want like literal KKK dudes like in our fucking city, dude. That's fucking crazy. Obviously, we don't want these bitches here. And in America, you have the right to protest. Okay, you have the right to protest. So yes, all of them had the right to be there with their little tiki torches and shit. Very cute. Everybody else also had a right to come out and counter protest. And in the chaos and the bedlam, people were killed. And in talking about Charlottesville, he said there were fine people on both sides. So yes, he did actually call white supremacists. Some of them are fine people. No, I don't think they are, actually. Hot take! I don't think you could say that we should unalive every person who is not white and be a good person. I don't think you can have that position. No, Queen. I don't think that those are fine people in any circumstance. No. I completely disagree. And then Erudite's like, I don't know. I have no idea. This is your political expert. I don't know. I was unconscious during, what was that, 20... I was completely unconscious. I was still in an embryonic sac absorbing all of fucking Destiny's opinions. I wasn't fully formed yet. Okay.
My assumption is that it's clickbaited because most things about Trump are.
Joe Biden launched his 2020 campaign claiming that Donald Trump called white supremacists fine people, which he never did. It's fake. And,
he did.
The video,
What was the actual content? I don't know.
during Charlottesville, Trump said, I've seen the videos and there were very fine people on both sides, and I am not talking about the white nationalists and neo-Nazis because they should be condemned totally.
Gotcha.
And the entirety of the Democrat-aligned media.
Then what are the two
cut off the back of
sides?
the quote
What
and showed
there
Trump
were?
saying,
Why is this being so slow? There were two sides, were they not? There was the white supremacists, and there were the not white supremacists. There are very fine people on both sides. What's the other side? What do you mean? Come on.
very fine people on both sides, clip, and then showing white nationalists marching with tiki torches.
Gotcha.
And that was how Joe Biden launched his campaign. And this is why I say, I consider myself to be like moderately pro-choice.
Yo, M60, thanks for the fucking raid, bud. Hope that you are well. We are crashing the fuck out watching Not So Erudite on Timpool. We're having so much fun. We're all having a good time. No one is upset and no one is crashing out. We're having a great time. Yeah, welcome M60 viewers. Feel free to cry with us, I suppose. He did not disclaim. No, there was no disclaimer. I don't know. I was actually sentient in 2016. Believe it or not, I was actually conscious. I do remember this happening. Yeah, that's not what happened. What's up, Jaden? I hope that you're well. Your Audi is very calm right now. Your Audi does not scream at people on the internet. Your Audi is always locked in. Face. Dude, my shit has been so fucking slow today. I don't know what the fuck is going on. Hang on.
The orthodoxy focuses on oppressing.
Like, this shit is just, like, so fucking laggy.
It was American. I probably voted.
This is what I can't understand. I mean,
comes down and he's going to become a politician.
Vote for their families back home. Why wouldn't they? I expect them
To get rid of it.
Their mute button.
Sure, but there's
because they default to I did.
that's fine with me. And it's like all of this is crazy town.
Yeah, but that's not Charlie Kirk or Ben Shapiro.
My family.
Let's try this one.
I put ketchup on my steak because we were eating cheap steak.
Oh my God,
Actual crimes.
kill yourself
They
in a
violate
video
statute of
game.
limitations. Now you've got Letitia James
Yeah, we were right
falsely
here.
accusing Trump of mortgage fraud for paperwork he didn't even handle. You are left or right, not based on your policy views. He said so when I pointed out, even no dirtbag leftist,
Of course, the one you just went over with Adam Conover. That and the ketchup.
that aligned
That was
media
close.
apparatus,
Okay, here we
cut
go.
off the back half of the quote, and showed Trump saying very fine people on both sides, clip, and then showing white nationalists marching with tiki torches.
Gotcha.
And that was how Joe Biden
Hello, don't smoke in bed. I hope you're well.
launched his campaign. And this is why I say, I consider myself to be like moderately pro-choice. So where Democrats were with safe, legal, and rare, I think.
Oh, also, if people are saying dog shit things in chat, you don't have to delete their messages. I don't care. If people want to be haters, I don't give a fuck. You can just leave their shitty messages. I don't care. Starve them of attention. Attention is oxygen. If you guys want to talk shit, talk shit. It's a free country. I don't care.
Abortion is wrong. I think it is a bad thing, but I also don't know how you get to a governmental system where a woman has to get a court writ to be able to have any kind of medical procedure. The end result, of course, is this. I don't want to. You always got to rehash the abortion date because people don't understand nuance. But you end up with a system where it's like a woman goes to the doctor and they're like, "Heavens me, you're having an emergency. Insert something. We have to terminate the baby to save your life, like unrelated to pregnancy." And it's like, okay, let's try and get a speedy writ from a judge to confirm this.
Sure. So
But the medical abortions has never really been a problem, though.
So my point
I
is,
understand.
the end result is that you get people abusing the system. So this is the challenge in trying to find a compromise.
True. This is a strong message. Women everywhere are giving themselves Munchausen in order to access abortions. True. This happens all the time. Yes. He's right. He should say it. This is so fucking stupid. I thought this conversation was about men. The men get abortions. Suddenly we're pro-trans rights here. We're supposed to be talking about men. Manly things. Let's talk about beer and fighting bears and playing darts and shit. Like, what the fuck is happening right? I'm so bored.
But without rehashing the abortion, my point is, the left's position is abortion up to 9 months for any reason, no matter what.
I did see that she was hitting people for strikes. There's like an audio clip of her barking or something. It's terrible. She's like, I'm a good puppy. Yip, yip. And I'm like, thanks. I want to die. And so I think it was Aiko had that as like an audio clip on her stream. And not so as like copyright striking people that are using that clip. Nice. Very cool. Very cool. Hoors.
If I could
So
put a,
this is actually what I want to kind of discuss. So
I
I
would
think
say if we had more programs to help after, I'd be fine with that too.
But look at Colorado.
Not to rehash it.
Colorado removed all restriction on abortion up to 9 months.
right, which is what Canada has as well, right?
It's insane.
Well, the issue is that
Abortion to 10 months. Why are we stopping at 9? Let's shoot for the stars here, guys. Dream big. Dream big. When can we start doing adult abortions? Sign me up for that shit. I'm ready to go. Scramble my shit, bro. Let's go. Take me out.
in Canada that basically never happens as a result of it. Right?
Doesn't matter.
So
Why legalize murder and then be like, yeah, but people don't get murdered, so we're gonna legalize it? What?
Probably because this fundamentally should be more of a congressional issue, right? Like the fact that Roe went through the judicial system in the first place is probably fundamentally part of the problem, right? And so
Fundamentally.
here's what I would maybe zoom out to. We're talking about partisan hacks, right? It's really annoying to talk to partisan hacks. As somebody who's left leaning, but I'm not really a partisan hack because I don't have a buy-in on your guys' election. Fundamentally, I'm not voting, right? So I don't care about Biden and Kamala because they represent X party. And you know, I'm sure you're familiar. The left wouldn't even acknowledge that like Biden was kind of weird because he like had a bunch of clips like kind of like sniffing kids.
little girls.
Yeah, it's weird. It's fucking weird. It's super, super weird. The issue is that on the right, I'm now hearing people unironically saying, I don't care about the Constitution. And if Donald Trump wants to get rid of the Constitution, that's fine with me. And it's like, all of this is crazy town.
Yeah, but that's not Charlie Kirk or Ben Shapiro or who else do we have? Steven Crowder or,
Sure, we have different things like, for example, getting really mad at like certain violent jokes from the other side, but then celebrating the same types of violent jokes on your side. I think both sides.
What he's saying is like the mainstream pundits are the ones pushing for the crazy ideology
about the
on the
mainstream
left
pundits. So
and
I know
Democrats.
these-
That's literally not true. It's not mainstream pundits. It's people that you see on twitter.com. It's just not, that's just not true. It's just not true. Show me Rachel Maddow saying something like that. Show me Anderson Cooper saying something like that. Mainstream Democrats are boring. They are boring. They will never say, let the blood of the rich run through the streets. Okay, they're never going to say shit like that. It's not going to happen. It's outside of party expectations. It's not going to happen. At the end of the day, the Democratic Party is still a constituency. They still adhere to party guidelines, okay? They're not saying crazy shit. If you live on twitter.com, sure, every left-leaning person is saying crazy shit. Whatever. Welcome to the internet. People say crazy shit all the time. That's the internet 101, okay? We're not surprised that people say unhinged shit on Twitter. No one is. But to pretend that, like, mainstream Democrats like Nancy Pelosi are coming out and being like, we should execute all billionaires. That's not fucking happening. It's delusion. It's Delulu town. You guys are fucking high. I want whatever the fuck you're smoking. I need it. I want some. Where are you getting this fucking crack? This superhuman crack. I want the super turbo nega crack. That's what I want. I want it. Give it to me.
Party members too. And that's why I asked you what I asked you earlier when I was like, well, how are you saying that you're like identifying moderate left, but some of the positions that you're holding, you know, the majority of right wing would consider some of them extreme left, and then the rest of them are probably
because when you put well, first of all, part of what I'm trying to say is we're not still talking to each other, right? Like I'm here and I'm defending far left positions. I don't hold any of these positions. There's lots of people around me that don't.
Why
hold these.
don't defend them? I don't know.
Well, those are the only.
My
things.
point is that you're a conservative.
Yeah, I'm not a conservative.
You are.
I'm just not. I'm
see,
fundamentally not, right? I like Ezra Klein's abundance policies, right? I just
What is
like
that? What is
this.
that?
Ezra Klein.
His abundance. I know Ezra Klein, but
His abundance policies, for example, is very big on like basically removing a lot of proceduralism, figuring out like where the inefficiencies are, and making it the case that like blue states can build the things that they believe in, like green energy, high speed rails, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
who disagrees?
Lots of people on the far left.
Steve Bannon wants to tax the rich. He thinks the billionaires should be taxed at 100%.
Sure, but then the
Is
like
he left wing?
I don't know much about Steve Bannon.
Well, he's considered like the architect of J6, a far right white nationalist, which he's not, by the way. My point is, left and right is not defined by your policies. It's defined by what you believe to be true.
I would say it's how you perform mostly. It's how you appear.
I think it has to do, I mean, I would agree with him. I think it has to do with like the underlying culture of each side too.
That is how you
well.
perform, right?
I mean,
Underlying culture. You code switch really well with men, and you say things that are like
Code
deliberate. Yeah, code switch, right? Like I'm sure that when you
Left coded language.
code switching, that is
The right doesn't say it.
Code switching is, I'm pretty sure, from black culture. It's definitely not a left coded thing.
Continue, but
Code switching is just changing the way that you talk. Like I'm pretty sure like the etymology of the word comes from the way that like black people will behave in like predominantly white dominated spaces or whatever the fuck. But the way that word is used now just means like I code switch talking like this versus like talking to a cop that pulls me over. I'm not going to talk like this to a cop that pulls me over. I'm not going to talk like this to my fucking mom, right? Or, you know, if you're a dirty little gooner freak, you're going to code switch out of your dirty little gooner freak vocabulary when you go to work, right? Like, that's what code switching means. It just means change it. Like, she's so pretentious. Please kill me in a video game.
I'm going to pull it up.
Code switching?
I love this article.
I'm a boomer. I don't even know what you're talking about.
It's a black cultural thing.
Nope. I mean, maybe. Conservatives don't do this. White liberals present themselves as less competent in interactions with African Americans. The idea of like when Tim Walz was like, I can talk to white guys. Conservatives were like, huh? Because conservatives tend not to change the way they communicate for other groups of people.
Just like, just look into the order if we like need to have this fight, which we don't even need to. Code switching comes from the black culture, which is talking about black people who are existing in like academic spaces who have to code switch from like the way that black people talk and interact and culturally exist amongst each other to being super white. This is what code switching comes from. It's not even-
This is a strong argument. Like, she's like, black people are fundamentally biologically different than white people. They're so different that they have to, like, change the way that they behave in their natural habitat in order to interact with white society. Damn, she really is a conservative. Tim Pool was right. Damn, let's go, Tim.
Even relevant. That's just what code switching is. What I'm talking about here is that when you're thinking about left and right, it is reducing on, like, what policies are, and that's part of my problem.
Thank you, Soren. I hope that you're well, my king. Thank you very much.
Is that left and right should be policies. And the fact that it's performance-based, which you might argue, that started with the left. Maybe it did. I'm not fully sure, but say it did. Say it did start with the
It
left.
goes back and forth, actually.
I would agree with that. I think it's bad all around. I think it's harmful in every single way for people to look at me and go, she's got a choker, an earpiece, so this is probably her worldview. It probably
Oh my god. Back to the choker. Guys, is she wearing a choker? I didn't notice. She's only brought it up 4 fucking times. I had no idea. Did you guys know that? Do you guys know that she has a choker on? That's so crazy. I'm glad that she mentioned it again. I almost forgot that she had on a choker. Wow, that was so cool of her to remind me again. Thank you.
isn't. In fact, I think about my worldview. It's much more complex and nuanced.
I don't
think that we need to do that to each other. I need to go to Tim Pool and say, what do you believe? Because I know that you're not a stereotypical MAGA. I don't know what it is exactly.
MAGA.
Right.
What?
What you just described, that ethos of let's talk. Let me put it this way. Carl Benjamin had a really great breakdown of my conversation with Adam Conover, and the clip that went massively viral, like Asmongold was talking about it, and he did a really funny bit, was I got exasperated after an hour and a half of the conversation where the dude was clearly not interested in truth. And, you know, with all due respect, like Adam Conover, I think he was great in terms of wanting to come on the show and with respect, but politically.
He does not represent us, just so it's
Sure, but I mean,
he probably represents the average. I mean, he probably represents a typical lefty guy.
20 million views per video on left liberal content. He's got a new podcast. He's getting tons of views. He's doing tours. Granted, he got a little flack over that crypto thing. But anyway, the point is, I said the very fine people hoax, and he says, which is, and I said that Trump called Nazis fine people, and he goes, right. He said there's very fine people on both sides. And then I immediately said, and not the neo-Nazis and white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. To his response, he said that. And I was like, yes. And I pulled up Snopes that said Trump never called them this. And his response is, I don't know anything about it. Immediately got called out by everybody saying, wait, you just quoted it. You literally just referenced the very fine people on both sides, which is what he was accused of saying.
I'm falling asleep.
Without citing the remainder of the quote. So you do know what this thing is. Now you're claiming you don't. Carl Benjamin pointed out. He said the ethos of the liberal is adhering to the tribe, to the social order. And he says, and Tim Pool, once of that social order, prioritizes the truth, which is what actually happened. So Tim is desperately trying to say, and I'm quoting Carl, not speaking in third person, this is what actually happened. Whereas Adam is trying to maintain his adherence to social orthodoxy, which I refer to as wokeness. He does not value truth. He values what needs to be said to create social cohesion, whereas I value truth over social cohesion. It's actually, I think, a masculine, feminine coded thing, actually. Women
I think that's true. And there's a question I'd like to pose about. I mean, do you think it's easier to change men's mind or women's mind?
Women's mind. There's like
you think so?
Yes.
Yeah, I completely agree because women are feeble-minded and weak. I completely agree. I'm falling asleep. Like, yap. Why even have guests on your fucking podcast if you're going to talk more than both of them combined? Like, why even have guests? Why? What is the appeal? Like, and again, he's like, nobody ever wants to come on the show. What is the incentive? You get on the show to get talked over? This is like this is almost a 3-hour fucking podcast. I'm sure that Tim Pool talks like 6 times as long as everybody else. Ugh.
The meme that women just become the political system of their...
Renavers cadet donatet $5 truc superchat. Code switching is just removing the usage of slang in a professional something. You the oid. Averiona dues it. Butang you white woman.
Oh my goodness, Reverend, thank you for the $5. Good witness, guys. Yeah, this is this is the Queen of Black People, not so erudite, guys. Everybody say thank you, Queen of Black People, erudite. Everybody say thank you to our queen.
Your boyfriend and husband is like a classic on every single side. Like, yes, it is. Women just shift towards typically the opinion of the people around them by and large. This is just unquestionable.
I would actually argue it's neutral, different. Men respond to different kinds of arguments, and women respond to different kinds of arguments. So understanding the expectations that women have on average that are different, you can exploit either into believing whatever you want.
Yeah, I mean that's true. I just feel like intuitively, I haven't dug deep into it, but it was something I was thinking about, and it was a good, it's a good segue into it. I just think intuitively, men are probably looking for, more logic and more reason based solutions are more, if you can prove it to me. Obviously, there's outliers and there's crazy people who are going to stick with it to the end.
But that doesn't necessarily confer a logical system. In fact, a lot of guys will be convinced to follow a guy because he's driving a flashy car. This is where you get fake it till you make it. A guy will. There was a guy that I knew who ran a business in California, and he made something like $60,000, $70,000 a year. He spent all of his money on, I can't remember what kind of car it was. He got like a Lotus or something, which is like 50 grand. It's not the craziest, but it looks crazy. And was broke, living in a bachelor apartment. But when he pulled up to business meetings in a Lotus, wearing a nice suit, they said, I want to be like him, not realizing he lived in squalor. He was putting on, and it worked. And he was able to sell his company and made a lot of money. Fake it till you make it. That's Hollywood, baby.
It's performance, right? This is what I'm talking about, is that most people are moved on like vibes, right? That is the social media. It's true. It's the social media domain, which is unfortunate. The issue is that I'm very tired of hearing like right-leaning people being like, the vibe side is just the left. It's like, it's all of you. It's all of you all the way through. And it always has been. The biggest problem with the Enlightenment and like to some way, what you're saying, being like, men are the, like the logical, rational ones. I'm like, not really.
Here's a big thought-provoking, mind-bending concept here. Whatever happened to just like having people learn how to think for themselves? Like, isn't that like a big part of primary education? You know, like when they ask you the hypothetical of like, why are the curtains blue? And somebody's like, well, the curtains are blue because the author is expressing melancholy about, you know, her long lost love who never returned from war following, you know, the fall of Saigon. And then the other person in class is like, the curtains are just fucking blue. There isn't an actual answer to the question, why are the curtains blue? There's not a real answer there, right? It's like a thought experiment. It's like, can you think? If I ask you a question and there's not really a right or wrong answer, what kind of answer will you give me? If I give you an open-ended thing, it kind of elucidates like how you think and why. Are you able to kind of like look for meaning, even in situations where there might not be much? It's kind of just an experiment to see if you have this ability of like independent, creative, cultivation of thought, right? Why don't we go back to that kind of shit? Because nobody, I mean, I feel like nobody can think for them fucking selves these days. It's like somebody will post on Twitter and say, the earth is round. And somebody will go, at Grok, is this true? Can no one think? Can no one? I have to chat GPT how many hours are in a day so I know how many hours of sleep I need to get before I go to work. You can't count to 24? Why don't we just teach people to have independent thought? Okay, why don't we do more of that? More of that? Question mark? Or what is that song with that guy that got like accused of being a pedophile or whatever, where he's like, I was never taught what laws there are. Let me repeat that. I was not taught the laws of the country in which I live. I mean, like, is he a pedophile? Yeah. But was he right with that particular critique? Yes, he was. He was. Let's have more independent free thinkers, you guys. Come on. Galileo knew how to ask questions. I'm tired.
They tend to be more object-oriented, right? But subjectivity and emotionality is a fundamental part of understanding the world around you, because abstraction is essential to engaging in the complexities of what the world is around us. This is fundamentally Sorite's paradox.
Yeah, I mean, I think the better way to say it is like, yeah, I probably more agree with like.
What did she say? Sorite's paradox? What the fuck is that? Are we just making shit up now? Sorite's paradox. Sorry's paradox, also known as the paradox of the heap, is a class of paradoxical argument that arises when vague terms are used. I don't care. Shut up.
What Tim was saying is that, you know, maybe they're more abstract thought oriented, and then men are more like pragmatic.
Well, that would be bad. That would not be good. I think men are able to do abstract thought just as well as women.
Let me put it this way.
Silence, women.
Everybody always gets mad when you reference their group. They're like, I don't do that. Yeah, I get it. If you want to convince a woman to follow and do something, you need to have 10 women standing in front of her, all telling her that's what you're supposed to do.
That's what I was trying to get at.
If you want a man to follow, you need a bunch of men.
This is so true, though. Like, if you guys have ever been at the club and there's a bunch of drunk bitches in the women's bathroom, you could get them to commit a grand heist. They would help you steal the Declaration of Independence if there were enough bitches in there hyping her up. It's like a squad full of bitches sitting around telling each other exactly is the most dangerous place you can find yourself, because you can convince yourself of anything. They're like, yeah, it is a good idea. Let's kill your boyfriend. Like, they'll do that shit. It's true. This is actually true. This is actually 100% fucking true. Yes. If there are enough bitches saying, yes, do it, you will do it. If all your friends told you to jump off a bridge, would you do it? How many espresso martinis have we had, and what time is it at the club? is the question that you need to ask in response to that. Because if it's after 1 o'clock in the morning and you've had more than 4 espresso martinis, the answer is yes. I would jump off the bridge. Yes. This is so fucking true.
And looking up to one big, strong guy lavished in gold and jewels telling them what to do.
But you can also, I feel so I work in the automotive industry. Like if there's a guy doing something, the wrong way, like, you know, doing the job the wrong way 10 times and he's like losing time on it or whatever. If a guy like, you know, picks on him enough, he's like, oh yeah, you're gonna do it that way again. You're gonna drop, you're gonna go this way. And you can kind of give them shit and you can kind of break down there and show it to them like, hey, if you try to do it this way.
I gotta be honest, I actually think in most interactions, if a guy was like working on a car and was doing it wrong, and another guy walked up and said, oh, actually, if you use the ratchet, it'll go faster. He'll go, oh, for real? No, thanks.
Sometimes it's stuck in their ways.
Yeah, this guy's just stupid. American Nacho is not a real man. This guy is so pooner coated right now. No shot. Yeah, obviously, like, guys are just like, hey, you fucking idiot. That's not how you do that. And they're like, oh, shit, thanks, Carl. Women are like, oh my god, Jessica, you're really going to use that application again? You know that it takes twice as long to render the photograph. Jessica, I've told you this before. You're being such a dumb bitch right now. And guys are like, yo, Jeffrey, what the fuck are you doing right now? And he's like, oh, shit. You're right, Dave. Wow, has this guy ever been around men before? Crazy.
Or
no, I get it.
They're like,
Also, I'm so sorry to say the P word, you guys. I didn't mean to say pooner. You guys know I hate that word. I'm sorry. That was really disrespectful of me. I'm so sorry.
And then you go back out there and they're...
I think generally speaking, obviously guys can be much more ego driven, but I do think the typical interaction with
All I will say, Rotten, is that guys take correction from other guys better than they take correction from women. If a woman is like, oh my god, Daniel, why don't you do it this way instead? He'll be like, shut up, bitch, and like punch a hole in the drywall, even if it is the easier way to do it. But if another dude is like, yo, Jeremy, like, you're doing that backwards, you fucking dummy. He's like, oh shit, thanks, Aaron, you're right, my bad. But if it's a woman, yeah, she's probably gonna die. Women don't correct men. Bad choice all around. They hate that, okay? But if it's a man correcting another man, especially a man that he respects, he'll be like, heard, chef. It depends, right? It depends.
With the guys, he'll be like, try doing like that. You know, like for me, there are people who skateboard. I've been skateboarding longer than they've been alive, and I watch their trick videos.
So cool.
Wow. I have no illusions of, like, I'm not going to lie to myself. I can't do that thing. Here's a guy who's 15 years old who's better at me. He's going to tell me how to do it. Dang, I've been skating longer than he's been alive. I'll take the advice that I can get. But more to the point, I think there are obstinate guys who are going to be like, I know what I'm doing. Get out of my face. But anyway, the major point is, the Democratic Party is female-coded. The Republican Party is male-coded. You were mentioning that it's like performative in vibes.
The two genders are actually Republican and Democrat. Those are the two genders. Democrat is the lady party, and Republican is the man party. Very true.
But I would argue that's a generality of the left and a tendency of the right. So on the right, I was on trigonometry. It was like 2 months ago. They put it out a month ago. And what the guys in trigonometry said to me was that you're just blanketing the left. I could say something about the right. And I said, you're wrong. Yeah, you're wrong. On the right, you have Tulsi Gabbard, former liberal, RFK Jr., former liberal. You have Elon Musk, former liberal. Technically all still liberals, I guess, but working with Republicans. And then you have Christian conservative Charlie Kirk, probably the most prominent, who says, Tim Pool, you're a moderate liberal-leaning guy. Come sit on my stage for the biggest event of the year in politics and talk about what you think. And it's that's not vibe-coded. I can go on that stage and say Donald Trump should be criminally investigated for the commando raid in Yemen that killed a 7-year-old American girl. And the conservatives are like, okay. But heaven forbid a liberal go into space and say something like, remember Seth Moulton was like, we shouldn't be having males compete in women's sports? They went after that guy, went for his throat.
Well, they couldn't admit that there was some... Like,
I think the problem here is that, like, can Republicans actually give a fuck about shit that matters, okay? Eggs are like $10. Eggs are like $10 fucking dollars. I care a lot more about that than who's swimming. I have real fucking problems. People are dying, Kim. I don't give a flying fuck about, what team do I get to play on water polo, Mr. President? Figure it out! Figure it out. I don't care. The job of the president is to do all the shit that he said that he was going to do. Instead of fixing the economy, instead of, getting rid of crime, instead of, bringing down taxes, instead of making everything more affordable for the middle-class working man, it's like we're arguing about where people go piss, girl. Like, that's why. It's because Republicans have the dumbest shit ever. It's like, well, did you know that they sometimes teach sex education in public schools? And it's like, dude, we just like blew up a hospital in the Middle East. Can we talk about that instead? Like, I have real fucking problems, all right? I don't give a flying fuck if you are unable to remediate all of these like fucking whiny crybaby bitch-made positions at a local level. Like, I'm gonna go to my town hall and say, guys, I don't think that we should be teaching our kids that Satan is cool. If I'm too stupid enough to figure out that I can go to a town hall meeting to talk about that, instead of waiting for the president to tell me where I can take a shit at a public fucking restroom, that is the problem. The problem is nobody gives a fuck about any of these issues. There are real problems that people want addressed.
And sometimes conservatives have good answers to those questions. Sometimes they're like, yeah, I don't think that we should have, like, drug lords getting citizenship to the United States. And 99% of people agree with that statement. But instead, we're arguing about where to go piss. What team do I swim on if I want to do competitive water polo in the senior category? No one cares. You're not smart enough to figure that out. You are literally unable to figure out a better way to determine what fucking bathroom to use at a Wendy's than to ask the president to write a law about it. Conservatives fundamentally do not have problem-solving skills. That's the reality of it, okay? I figured it out just fine. On my own, okay? If you're telling me that a grown fucking adult is like, I need somebody to tell me where to take a shit, it's like, okay, we have bigger problems, guys. Let's reevaluate here. Let's recalibrate the political machine, all right? What about all these conservatives that are writing letters to Donald Trump and they're like, why are you passing bills about whether or not I could get Adderall with Medicaid? I thought that we were solving the border crisis. Why are you wasting all your time? People have real problems. People are dying, Kim. Get it together.
Like signs of early dementia or some signs of like mental degradation and then as soon as he gets out of office, or maybe they're thinking about running Kamala against him, he's falling apart.
The group that is accepting is always the group that's been on the tail end for the last little bit, right? So the left was the really accepting, chill group that just basically allowed everyone in as long as you stood for a lot of similar ideas, and they would kind of talk to everyone during the entire rationalist era, right? It was a very, very open space.
Rationalist.
The issue is that then
I'm triggered. The Zizzians, the rationalists. No.
the left won the culture war by canceling a lot of right speakers off of their platforms, and then they got deranged and echo chambered and wouldn't talk to anyone anymore. So now the right is the accepting side, but to assume that it will remain the accepting side is just false.
Well, that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, there's no evidence to even support that it's doing that.
Hang on, a woman is
speaking.
speaking.
Look back to like the early era when the right was culturally leading again. If you look back into like maybe like the 90s or whatever, you see a very strict system on the right where if they find out that you've ever cheated, you're out. If they find out that you've got a baby out of wedlock, you're out. If they find out you've sworn too many times.
And that's how it should be. Right cancel culture goes hard as fuck. You're an adulterous whore. Get out of my party. That's the way it should be, okay? Conservatives used to be the party of Christian values, but now we have a quote-unquote Christian president who said that his book was better than the Bible. Go to hell. And then he has like 6 fucking baby mamas, and his wife is a former porn star, which I love my sex worker queens and kings and, whatever you got to do to get your bag, okay? But if you prop yourself up as a Christian leader of a Christian quote-unquote nation, which America is predominantly atheist or agnostic anyway. But like, how the fuck are you going to sit up there and be like, yes, as a representative of Christian democracy, while you're having like gay sex, doing a fuck ton of coke, and your wife is a literal prostitute? It's like, is the Christian value in the room with us? And to be fair, Not So Erudite is guilty of this as well. She's like, as a radical Orthodox Protestant Christian, whatever the fuck that word soup means, I think it's actually normal for me to open my marriage. That's very Christ-like. It's not. But it's like, come on. Conservatives, real conservatives, do want Christian leadership in this country. They want Orthodox values, all right? They don't want somebody whose wife is, a literal on the spread of, like, Playboy. Like, full frontal and shit. Like, yeah, they're kind of prudish. Religious people usually are pretty prudish. Usually, 9 times out of 10, right? They keep their freaky shit behind closed doors. Hello? Does everybody have the memory of a goldfish these days? What's happening?
It was very, very purity testing because typically the group that is in the higher level of cultural power will create purity testing because they're better. And so they can kick people out and then the other group absorbs them until that other group gets more power and then it'll be back and forth and back and forth. The reason I am left is because of what I believe.
Right.
And that's it.
So I'm left too.
Sure.
Except no one in the modern political space will say Tim Pool's left wing.
Potential. I don't know all of your political leanings, so you might be left.
So like Steve Bannon is a better example. So I'm talking about myself. I've argued with him. He's left of me. He said we should be taxing the billionaires and everything. Take their money. They're crooks. They're ripping us off. They're flooding the electoral system. They're buying our politicians. Take everything they got. And I was like, why? And he goes, so they don't have it. It has nothing to do with, you love saying we're going to fund Biden. No, the billionaires are bad. And then I laughed. And I was like, you would have fit right in at Occupy Wall Street. And he's like, you think? And I was like, that's literally the Occupy Wall Street decision. The billionaires are ripping us off. They flooded the zone in politics with money. They don't represent our interests. They're selling out the working class. They've been doing it for a long time. This is why Bernie Sanders was popular. Mm-hmm. It was he literally said in 2015, open border.
I'm going to blow everybody's mind right now. Is everybody ready? Get your pens out. I need you to write this down, okay? Populism is popular. Groundbreaking take. No one has ever pondered this before. This is the first time this has ever been uttered before in human history. Populism is popular. Yes, populism is very popular. Populist leaders are very, very popular in public opinion. And for good reason. Because it's
broad general sentiments that are pretty hard to disagree with, regardless of what side of the aisle that you fall on. Yes, populism is incredibly popular. Yes, yes. Crazy. I think that's what the pop in popularism stands for. Right? Right? Could be wrong.
Borders is a Koch brothers proposal. No open borders. And the World Socialist website called him a nationalist capitalist for wanting secure borders. Left and right has nothing to do with your policy views. Literally nothing.
It must. What I'm saying is I don't care
It must.
what these
I compel it.
assholes say. I don't care. They don't get to rob us of our words, and they don't get to rob us of our principles, right? I'm a Christian that lots of Christians don't like. And that doesn't mean that I'm...
It's because you're not a fucking Christian. I'm sorry, you're not a Christian because you wanted to open up your marriage to, like, fuck other dudes. That's not very Christianly. Christians don't agree with that because that's not a Christian value. You don't get to just make shit up and say, because I'm a Christian, therefore this is Christian. That's not how orthodoxy works. Orthodoxy means you fall in line with the teachings and the principles that are presented to you. That's what orthodoxy is. A lot of Christians don't like you because you're not a Christian, you're a whore, okay? And notoriously, Christians don't like whores. I don't know.
a Christian, that doesn't mean that I don't love Christianity, and I fight for it like vehemently because I believe in it, despite the fact that most of the group would kick me out. I'm a feminist that most feminists call a pick me. They don't like me very much, but I'm a feminist because I believe in what the actual movement of feminism says. I actually, and guns. I think gun laws are very feminist, right? I'm just not right wing because left-leaning policy is strong institutions, regulated economy, right? It is taking care of the vulnerable, welfare state. And it is allowing individuals freedoms and liberties to do what they would like to do.
Yeah, but I think I get what you're saying, but I'm going to say it again. Colloquially today, people don't use that word in that way. And you can make the argument.
To take it from me.
And so my point is, let's just say this: we'll call it tribal left, tribal right. We'll call it team red and team blue. You're team red.
I'm team gray.
You're actually team red.
Scott Alexander writes about this.
It's fascinating that
I'm not.
I'm team
I don't want
gray.
to get into Trump bashing here, especially because like I really do want to avoid like doing too much domestic policy conversation as like a Canadian stuff. But like I'm not team red because I think what the conservative purpose is to preserve and to consecrate and conserve tradition and values and constitution, which like made us in the past so great. And the point of the left is to progress us and push us forward. And I want to do that. I want to push us forward.
That's the right.
It's not.
That's the colloquial right.
It's not.
Like 9 million Obama voters in 2016 voted for Donald Trump. And one of the big reasons was that Donald Trump went on stage at the RNC and unfurled a pride flag to thunderous applause. Donald Trump came into the Republican Party and pushed this.
Where's that clip where Donald Trump is like, they're like, Mr. Trump, gays for Trump. And he's like, gays for Trump, I don't see you. And they're like, Mr. President, we're right here. And then he goes, you don't look gay. Like, I wish that Donald Trump was a better person because he's so funny. He is so fucking funny, dude. He's so funny. He's actually fucking hilarious. He's so funny. Gays for Trump. You don't look gay. He's so funny, dude. I want to like him. I want to like him so bad.
Thank you very much. Where's gays for Trump? You don't look gay.
I love him. You don't look gay. I love him. He's so funny. He's so funny. I love the little dance that he does too, like this one. I do this all the time. If I'm at a rave, I'm doing this. I'm doing and you gotta mew while you do it too. You're like, love it, love him. I want everybody to come to the White House for the Super Bowl winner feast. I ordered everyone Big Macs. I love him. He's so fun. And then this too. I ordered everyone Big Macs. Like, I love him. He's so funny. He's so fucking funny. Donald Trump doesn't want someone like me to be in charge, or the left does not want someone like Donald Trump to be in charge of the judicial system in this country because you'd be in jail. Like, he's so fucking funny. He's so funny. I wish that he was a better person. He's hilarious. Love him. He's so funny. In another life, you guys, there's another timeline where Donald Trump is like just like Bernie Sanders, and we're all really happy right now. Completely different timeline where everything is right in the world. And God, I wish I was there, you know? God, I wish I was there. God.
Political faction in a progressive direction. He's a moderate. Even Vox called him a moderate. You've got many drag and transgender Trump supporters. Donald Trump said on the issue of gay marriage.
Drag and transgender.
Someone who's further right. Yeah, I mean,
have to have M and F on their passport. So now most trans people cannot go internationally anywhere where they don't appear as like an M on their passport. And that's just that's dangerous for trans people. If you want to do, I'm running into this with a friend right now who tries to do war correspondence in countries that don't like trans people. She, in every way, is a woman, nobody would look at her and think that that person should walk into a male bathroom. But because she's trans, she has an M on her passport, and she now cannot go into multiple very conservative countries because of threats to her.
Well,
life.
to be fair,
I mean, he'd be under threat if they went anyways.
No, she wouldn't, because most people, first of all, she was not super out about her transness. Most people never knew at all. And she has gone into these countries numerous of times in the past. She can't anymore at all because of this passport change. That isn't helping trans people. That is fundamentally.
That seems like a self-inflicted.
But regardless,
self-inflicted at all.
I mean, you're choosing to go to those zones.
She's a war correspondent as her career. Yes, she goes to Iraq, but she's always gone to Iraq.
You know, I'll concede this is a lefty position, and it is, I would refer to as, I don't know what's the right way to describe this, farcical, fantastical. I did conflict reporting. I didn't go to any active war zones. I went to civil war and like conflict and crisis and disaster zones. And it was always fascinating to me because of this political correctness reality, especially pertaining to HR and stuff. The story that I usually tell is I was doing what's called heat training. It's redundant. Heat includes the word training. Hostile environment action training. And they couldn't actually tell the women not to go to these zones and prepare them for what happens to women in war zones because they get sued if they did. And so someone asked this former MI6 guy, should women who go into conflict zones be concerned about rape? And he went, men get raped. Men get raped. You know, anyway, so moving on, because he literally couldn't say.
I got to be totally real with you. I don't think this is true. I think that if somebody was like, hey, I want to do war reporting in, I don't know, pick a country that hates women. I don't fucking know. Spin the wheel. I want to go do reporting in this country. Should I be concerned about rape? Yeah, probably. Next question. I don't believe this at all. This is something with the Peace Corps as well. Because if you ever want to go into the Peace Corps, fun fact, I almost joined the Peace Corps. They are very direct about like if you are like gay, there are certain countries that if you want to go to them, we can't stop you, but they might fucking kill you. Like, we cannot stop you if you want to go and, you know, like, build houses or whatever. You have to accept liability for this, right? Obviously, it's not our fault if you go to, you know, this country where they literally kill gay people because you want to help. You just have to waive our liability for that. But, yeah, you're probably going to get fucking killed if you go to this country. Yeah. I just don't believe this. I just don't believe this at all. I feel like this is not true at all. Like... They're actually pretty direct. They're like, yep, you'll probably be beaten to death with sticks if you go to that country, yes. Had that exact conversation with Peace Corps recruiters before, but okay, yeah, sure.
If you're a woman, you go to a war zone, you're captured, you'll be mercilessly raped and sold into slavery, and if you're a man, you probably won't be.
You'll be killed.
Because if he did, that would be sexual discrimination in a work environment, because this is a contracted company for insurance providers and media outlets. He's not allowed to say these things. So
and I also don't believe this because it's an incredible liability for your company as well. If I have Malcolm's War Reporting Incorporated, and I have 5 women who apply and 5 men who apply, and I lie, and I'm sending them to Rapistan. That's where I'm sending them to go do war reporting in Rapistan. And the women are like, CEO Malcolm, should I be concerned about rape in Rapistan? And I say, we actually can't discuss that as per our contract for equal opportunity and non-discriminatory DEI policy. Sorry, I can't answer that question for you. And then this woman goes to Rapistan and gets raped, and then who gets in trouble for that? Me, the CEO of Malcolm's Wartime Reporting Company. Does anyone have a concept I say this every time we watch shit like this. What about the concept of liability here? If you are unable to disclose to somebody that going to a certain zone is dangerous, they could be raped, killed, tortured, murdered, whatever the fuck it is. If you don't disclose that and something bad happens to them, the liability is on me, the person who did not inform them of the risks associated too. Does nobody understand liability? Like, dead ass. Are you fucking for real?
So stupid. The idea that a trans person thinks they have a right to go to a conflict zone and, oh heavens, me and my passport. Dude, you die. You go to conflict zones, you assume the risks of who you are and what you are, and this idea that you are entitled to some special privilege.
Yeah, but if you can mitigate the risk, right? And the thing is here is, and you know, say what you want. Ben Shapiro made this exact argument, and I have no idea why people, especially cis people, are unafraid to make this argument. I know why. It's because people will call them trans medicalists, and everybody will freak the fuck out. The reality is that gendering people, gender language exists as a social utility, and as long as that utility serves purpose, you ought to do it because it, you know, makes other people, 1, safe, and then 2, you look like a fucking crazy person. Ben Shapiro made this exact argument. If Ben Shapiro was having dinner with Blair White and Blair White got to the restaurant before Ben Shapiro wouldn't be like, hi, I'm here for the 5'8" male man that's in a hot pink mini skirt, a crop top shirt, huge gazongas, and full beat face of makeup. Because there's no social utility there. It is first and foremost a question of utility. There is no utility for somebody who looks like Blair White to try to, you know, travel to like some country or whatever, and it's like, male! There's no utility there. There is no utility. Gendered language offers social utility. As long as it offers social utility, you ought use the pronouns which somebody looks like. And everybody hates that fucking argument because they're like, transmedicalism, you're saying people who don't pass aren't valid? Never said they weren't valid. It's not about valid, it's about utility. That's the purpose of gendered language, is utility. It makes it so we can communicate with each other. If somebody was looking for me, and they said we're looking for a woman named Malcolm that has a goatee, is fucking balding, like, everybody would be like, what the fuck are you talking about right now? It's about utility. It is a question of utility. Cis people, shut the fuck up forever if you can't make these arguments. That's all I'm going to say, sorry.
To go to a foreign country where you may be killed in any circumstance is laughably insane.
What's the benefit of changing any of these passport things? Except
in 1993, there was a law passed in the United States because forever, when medical testing was done for drugs, they did not do it on women. And so when women would go to the hospital with pain, they'd say, take this painkiller. And the women would say, it hurts. And they go, women are such fucking babies. And then they were like, hey, maybe drugs work differently on men and women due to physiology. So they passed a law saying from now on, medical research has to be done on both men and women because we are just kind of realizing the drugs work differently on women. So if someone, considering men and women have different organs,
thank you, Rodden.
Quite literally, there's a reason for why we designate your gender
on your passport.
It's an ID.
Why on my passport does it need to?
Also, have you ever been to a hospital before? It's gonna populate all that information. Pretty much every single hospital in the entire fucking country is gonna use the exact same system. I want to say like Epic is the most common one, but there's a bunch of different ones because they do everything like on the fucking computer or whatever. They have all that fucking information in there. What happens if I get in a car accident and I literally get split in half and my wallet is in my back pocket and my legs are literally gone? They're like, oh god, I don't have your ID. I have no fucking idea how to determine what oh fuck, we can't possibly treat you. It's literally in the system. It's literally in the You know when you go to the hospital for like an emergency, you have to get naked? They cut your clothes off of you? You know that? They have to get you in the little gown. It's not like you get hit by a car and then you like wake up and your clothes were like teleported off of you and then the gown was teleported on you and somehow nobody saw? Has anyone ever been to the hospital before? I'm getting triggered.
Say for somebody who in every single way, it's like Blair White,
yeah, sure.
look at them and say, it looks like a woman.
Are women allowed to walk around outside in Islamic nations? Without a man?
I was going to say with a man and usually covered, yes.
So with a man. So if a female decides to get a visa to...
Here's a question. If in Islamic countries women can't walk around without a man, like a man in their family, their husband, a brother, a dad, or whatever the fuck, what would happen to Blair White if she was walking around in an Islamic country without a man? Do you think they would be like, are you the man, as they're like lifting the stone to throw it? Probably not. They'd probably just fucking kill her. It's a question of safety, right? If you are perceived as, the utility is Blair White looks like a woman. I don't care what anybody says. You see Blair White walking down the street, you're probably like, oh, there's a woman. Cool. At the very most, you might get somebody who's like trans investigating with their protractor, and they're like, oh, kind of clocky shoulder width or whatever the fuck. But 99.99% of people are going to see Blair White and be like, oh, that's a woman, like whatever the fuck. Blair White is going to try and follow the societal norms of going to like Saudi Arabia. She's going to go out without a man because she is the man, apparently, in this weird hypothetical, okay? They're not going to stop and ask, they're just going to kill her. The utility there would be to socially treat her as a woman so she doesn't get fucking killed. Hello? Is anybody paying attention?
Think that a Blair White could walk around in Islamic countries without a man because they'd be like, well, she's trans. No, of course not.
Of course not.
So the war correspondent is already going.
Think you have a right to subvert the laws of a foreign nation that has invited you into their country?
How is it subverting the laws?
Lying to subvert their laws, which have specific gendered laws. You say, I should have a government document that lies so I can break the law in that country. Isn't absurd?
It just doesn't make any sense to me. The laws that they would be.
The law that would be broken would be like that she gets killed, though, because they think that she's a woman walking around without a man. Like, yeah. I don't think that I would personally get killed walking around without a man. They wouldn't be like, that's a woman right there without a man. Attack! Like, I don't think they would... It's social utility, which is derived by perception. It's derived by perception.
Be breaking is that if Blair White has M on their passport, I guess Blair should be walking around without head coverings and wearing like keffiyeh and not having a person, which they would kill her for because they would see a woman.
Oh, I just
what right do you have to someone else's nation? I don't understand.
This isn't about a right. This is about your own country granting you the ability to exist and perform in the way that every single person is going to treat.
We're talking specifically about your friend who wants to go to conflict zones in foreign countries and lie to their government to get privy access.
You have the right to go and do your work.
You do not have a right to someone else's nation. They grant you a privilege to enter under visa.
Sure, but the issue is that you're making it seem like I would grant you that if it was the other nations getting mad at America, being like, put M on trans passports. But that's not what happened. Trump made the decision himself, unrelated to any external pressures. I'm not even sure why.
You said they could be killed.
They could be killed.
Why?
If Blair White...
Would the government take action against this person?
They probably would get in major trouble at the border at all.
Agreed.
They would.
So you're asking the U.S. government to produce a false document to lie to a foreign government.
He's doing a bad job here because you could order that, or excuse me, you could argue like in certain places that even being gender nonconforming is enough for the government to like get real big mad at you, right? Like Russia is an example of this. Like even if you look gender nonconforming, they're big mad about it. You can get in big mad trouble, right? You don't even have to be trans. You don't even have to be fucking gay. You just have to look a little fruity. And then it's over, right? Like that would be the concern, is that there isn't really even anything wrong with this person being trans or whatever the fuck, and we probably shouldn't kill people just for being trans. I know, crazy hot take. Just because someone's trans, they probably shouldn't die. Very brave of me, I know. But like the problem is that even if it was just like a feminine presenting, you know, man that wanted to go to this country or whatever, they would get in fucking trouble for just being a feminine presenting man. Because you could just say that, okay, they changed the passport rule, but I, for some reason, really want to go to Saudi Arabia. I really want to go, you guys. If my passport says lady, I can't just be like, I just am a lady with a beard, please! Like, you can't do that. It outs you automatically. It's dangerous. It's too late. You've already been struck in the face by the time you try to explain yourself. It's over. It's done. Lights out. Just really bad at arguing this. Please, not so erudite, if you can hear me. I'm calling out into the ether. If you can hear me, not so erudite, please stop fucking talking about trans shit.
It's not. Are you saying that it was a false document before, that the government was just lying this entire time?
If you're a man and they put female on your passport, they're lying.
Well, if you put gender and put woman, isn't that fine?
There's no W. It's male or female. Those are sexes. It's biology.
Sure, but couldn't we just update the passport to be gender?
No. And then this is really easy. You just make the argument that like if you have a biological male that has no markers of that of a biological male, what is the utility of listing him as male? There is none. That's the answer. Easy peasy. Oh, she's so dumb.
Oh,
why not?
Because we're identifying a biological structure of human beings for a purpose, because different laws.
On the passport?
Indeed, it's an ID. And we have international treaties with foreign nations because they have different laws than us. This idea that Americans get to go and do whatever they want, whenever they want, is so stupid.
That's not what I'm advocating for.
You think an American male should be able to get a passport that says they're a female so they can enter a country where it's illegal and do things that are otherwise illegal?
I think that the idea that, like, you were basically saying that Trump is pro-trans and
I didn't know that Tim Pool was such a big fan of the Middle East. Very cool. I learn something new every day.
And I said,
I'd say he's pro-trans.
You said that he was very
moderate on the issue.
Yeah, exactly. And I said he immediately did something that actually has security and life threats against your civilians. You know what the American government has responsibility for? Protecting its citizens.
What does that have to do with entering a foreign country under sovereign jurisdiction?
Because you're still an American citizen that the government has a procedure to protect. So if that's
this is actually true. Did you know that if you're an American and you travel to a country and there's like a national emergency, they will evacuate you before they evacuate their own citizens? I thought that was fucking crazy. Went to the Netherlands and it was like the same thing because like, you know, they have like a lot of issues with like flooding and shit like that. And it's like if the sea levels like suddenly spontaneously rise or there's like a tsunami or some shit like that, they prioritize getting Americans to the embassy. Like you get like VIP fucking treatment being an American because they know that they'll just bomb the shit out of them if they let Americans die. Like, is he okay? Is he paying attention? Does he know? I thought that this was like hard-hitting journalist Tim Pool. Seems to know very little. Very curious.
Trans person goes, you know what? I'll embrace that.
Why?
Blair White goes, it should say M on my passport, and then goes in. Does the American government have to go rescue her when she inevitably gets attacked and assaulted? Or does she just have to give up on her career as a war correspondent?
Yes, you do. You're not entitled to these things. This is weird.
It's such a wild thing for you to say. It's totally chill that the American government can just be like, nah, you're not allowed to do this.
I think you're lying.
Anymore. I'm not lying.
You think Americans should have a right to commit crimes in other countries, yes or no?
That's not what I've said.
I'm not saying you are, but is the answer no?
No.
So Americans should not be able to break the law in other countries?
Correct.
Even when those laws are bullshit?
By and large. And the American government should protect you when you do it.
Don't go to, where's like Dubai?
I wonder what his opinion is on that auto dude that went to North Korea and he like pulled down a poster and they sentenced him to, I can't remember how many years it was, in like a hard labor camp. And then he died because obviously it was hard labor, so he died, you know. I wonder what his opinions were on that. Probably, oh, it's such bullshit. They can't just like send people to prison for like 900 fucking years just because they pulled down a poster. That's barbaric, and America should do something about it. I can guarantee it was pretty close to that. But I just work here.
Yeah, they have like if a woman gets raped in Dubai, you go to prison. Okay, so is it illegal for women to walk around in these countries? It is, right?
Yeah, without the middleman, et cetera, yes.
So if a female dresses up like a man and takes hormones to mask to the government, like let's say a woman in Saudi Arabia starts illicitly taking testosterone to appear like a man to go around, they would get in trouble for that, wouldn't they?
Probably not if they passed well enough, because nobody would know.
No, I'm saying when they got caught. It's a crime. It is illegal to do.
Because they're trans, yeah.
So I don't understand how you're arguing.
Trans. You're basically saying that trans people just shouldn't go where it's illegal for them to exist. That's what you're saying.
Why would you?
Well, I mean, and that's actually pretty good general advice. He got her there. If somebody was like, "Would you like to go on vacation with me to this country where it's illegal to be trans?" They'll kill you if they find out. It's kind of like, I think I'll pass on that one. I really appreciate the invite. Like, it's very kind of you to think of me. But I think that I'll just pass on that one. That's kind of fair. I would never encourage somebody to be like, "Yes, dude, go on vacation somewhere where they'll literally throw you off a fucking roof if they find out." Yes, go. That's fair. That's kind of fair. Based advice. I'll say that.
Well, hold on.
Any reason that you might want to do war correspondence? What do you mean?
Do you recognize that war correspondents can die?
Yeah.
So I don't understand what your point is.
My point is that you should
people have a right
allowed...
to go to foreign war zones without the risk of death. And
that's not what I'm advocating for. They have a right to be able to go, and their government shouldn't be immediately outing them to make it more dangerous.
Wait. You think people have a right to go to any country they want?
Assuming that the government approves their visa, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, not right.
Okay.
I
agree. If they approve their visa, right?
They have the liberty to go, I should say. A right is probably
assuming that foreign government says we will grant you the visa.
Yeah, the liberty to.
Do people have a right to lie on their visa applications?
No, but the issue is that before the government didn't view that it was a lie, and now
it is. Because we're not talking about gender on passports. You agree with that? We're talking about biological sex.
I'm advocating that essentially you probably should allow somebody like Blair White.
Different argument. You are upset that Donald Trump said you have to have your biological sex.
Undid something because it was already done.
Because they were putting fake sexes on passports.
Essentially, which would have been better if they did gender instead. I agree.
You got to be really careful of the fake sex, you guys. Be careful. There's fake sex all around you. Be careful.
Okay, so then the issue is, this is where the contention is. You have a friend who wants a false biological sex listed on their passport, so they can defraud a foreign country into entering.
Not really. I want them to be able to have the liberty to go there, and that the moment that they go there, they won't...
The liberty to go there.
The liberty to go there.
At the permission of the government.
Both
who expects you to tell the truth on things like what your biological sex is.
For example, if your government just...
Imagine you're traveling, and you step off the plane, and it's just like, you're immediately surrounded by people with bazookas. And they're like, is that a fake sex or a real sex that you're holding? And you're like, oh, fuck. Based.
Agrees that essentially you perform as a woman and they're willing to give you an F so that you can enter spaces safely and walk around and not be attacked for just how you appear, yes.
Do you think countries like the Emirates and Dubai appreciate the fact that people are lying about their gender to bypass?
Probably not. Probably not. I just don't really... I don't care about like...
This is American exceptionalism. This is like American citizens can present false paperwork to foreign countries to get access to their...
It's not false paperwork if the government verifies it.
It is.
It's not.
So when the government says it's true.
On the passport,
if the government asserts something, it's a fact.
That's not what I've said.
And it's not true. The government can lie.
Well, Tim, do you want to engage with what I'm saying, or do you want to create?
I think you're lying.
I'm not lying.
An individual has no right to a foreign country. Period.
I've never said that they have a right. They have a liberty to it.
A liberty to what?
To apply to go there.
And is lying to that government okay?
It's not lying if your government is willing to agree that essentially you can be.
Are males females?
No, they're not.
Okay, so if a male says I'm female, is that a lie?
Yes.
So if a person applies for a passport to the government who is male and says I'm female.
Oh my god, she walked right into that. Oh my god, she's so fucking bad at this. Anytime that somebody gets like really argumentative with her, she gets like super fucking cagey and she chokes. What was the other the trans debate with that guy that we listened to that had the shitty mic or whatever? As soon as she starts getting like a little bit of pressure, just like a little bit of heat, just a skosh, she just like folds like a fucking house of cards. Like she walked face first right into that. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Is he lying?
It depends on if the government is willing to allow female to include woman looking. And if
I'm talking about sexes, not genders.
Yeah, and if the government...
Is it a lie for a man?
I'm answering you. I'm answering you.
This is why men are leaving the left.
You have to let me...
Tim,
you have to let me talk, right? I'm engaging with you in exceptionally good faith.
This is why men are leaving.
I'm answering your questions correctly, and I'm not pivoting away from them.
You are.
You just don't like my answers, which is totally okay.
A male who says I'm female is lying. Because we're talking about biological sex.
Yes.
So if a male goes to the Saudi government and says female, he lied, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think people have a right to lie to foreign governments?
Oh my god, she's so bad.
Not usually. I'm sure there's some exceptions that I might be okay with it.
That you can lie to a foreign government to get a visa?
Yeah, so for example, if you like, I think a lot of people lie to North Korea on their visas as to like what they're doing, who are helping like smuggle in information and like helping freeing North Koreans, for an example. So like...
Sure, to be fair, we're talking about like subterfuge.
Actually, I shouldn't say anyone who does this, right? But there are people who do this to like really extremist regimes like North Korea. In that case, they're lying on their visa, but I'm kind of okay with it.
Sorry, if you have a dick or a vagina, I need to know before you come into the country. I need to know. No particular reason. Sorry. It's the law.
Right, because they're trying to help the North Koreans, right? So in this case, if you've got a country...
So it's an adversarial nation.
Yep.
And we
have... So if you've got a country that looks at trans people and says that they don't exist, and there's no way for Blair to enter safely without us killing her, I'm okay lying a little bit to that country so that Blair can enter safely and do her job.
And the government should aid that lie.
Well, the lie would...
I mean, personally, and this is just my opinion, would be just don't go to that country. I think that would be my position here. Would just be like, just don't go. I mean, if you want to risk your fucking life for like war journalism, and there are certainly people that do, right? Like there are people that do all kinds of shit like that. Like, you know, people that do storm chasing or extreme tourism, shit like that. Go nuts, dude. The world is your oyster. If you want to do that, go ahead. But I would never like encourage people to do that, right? Like, if you're gonna get killed in this fucking country, I would just not go. I would say. I think that's fair. But yeah, I mean, she's just getting smacked around right now. Getting smacked around. Another woman falls to the dominant alpha male bravado of the fully headed hair of Tim Pool. Wow.
Would be the issue is that the lie depends on how the government's determining like what qualifies as F. If they're allowing basically woman performing people to qualify as F for the sake of a passport, it's not really a lie.
I think this is a really great example of why young men are leaving the left. Because I'll just give you my personal
Way to
feelings,
bring it full
which
circle, Tim.
Just
Very
how I
cool.
interpret this moment right now.
Sure.
Wow.
Your statements are illogical.
They're not. They're just not face
They
valid.
are.
They're not face valid, right?
Like,
you know what that means?
You've made a claim that you've backtracked a little bit. When you fluttered between gender and sex, you then said that we should change passports to be gender, not sex. You acknowledge that sex is
Sure,
different.
yeah. I should have baked in extra
You've
arguments.
asserted an entitlement to lie to foreign governments for access to their countries.
To some degree, yeah. You agreed to that, though, right?
So, no, I didn't.
Yeah, you said, yeah, there's certain
I
situations
was
that you're going
acknowledging
to
what you
lie.
had said about people lying to get
So
into
you
North
don't think that people should lie to get into North Korea to like help aid those people in like freeing themselves from like the extreme oppression that North Koreans experience? Like you think it's bad when like humanitarians.
It wouldn't be morally bad, but it would be wrong. Yeah, I mean, like,
Well,
you shouldn't try to do. I mean, you're.
I mean, it's a question of.
Technically speaking, telling a lie is always wrong. Okay, what if I had Anne Frank in my attic and the Nazis were like, yo, is Anne Frank in your attic? And I lied. I wouldn't say that it's a moral wrong, but it's certainly bad because lying is bad. Does anybody have anything better to do with their time? Anybody? Does anybody have these conversations? Like, are you guys having these conversations at dinner parties and shit like that? Just like jerking each other off endlessly about, what an interesting hypothetical. I too think that lying is wrong, even if it was to save the life of Jesus. It's like, what do you... Is this what people do at like fancy Washington DC parties? Is that what everybody does? Am I out of touch? What the fuck?
The sovereignty of nations. I don't like North Korea.
Should America
Violence is always wrong. I don't think that anybody should be violent ever.
be like, hey, North Korea, just a heads up, these people,
I
careful,
don't-
they're not entering just to do tourism. They actually
I think if we
wanna
have
help your people.
treaties with nations we're not actively at war with, we should do our best to adhere to them. And so the question of international treaties pertaining to visas, the idea that the U.S. government would permit people to lie on their passports, it's a weird thing to advocate for.
Sure. The issue is that, again, the
She did actually get kicked in the head by a horse, guys. I know that you're joking, but she did actually get kicked in the fucking head by a horse. Like, white women and horses. Name a worse combination. You can't.
this is why I
Why
said,
lie on your passport? I don't understand.
why insist on having biology on your passport? Why not have gender?
Because there are laws in certain nations.
Why not have both?
Because it's a redundancy. It's meaningless.
It's not redundant.
So you put,
right?
I'm a male woman.
Well, Blair White.
What is a woman?
What is a woman? It is a performance.
What does that mean?
It means that you appear woman. It's like porn. What's porn? Well, you see it when you know it, right? If you look at it,
You'll see it when you know it. You'll see it when you know it, guys. When you know what porn is, it will come to you like a vision. Wow, would you look at the time? I only have a little bit of time left, unfortunately, guys. Let's keep going. Let's suffer more.
that's porn. That naked image, it's not porn.
Why can't liberals answer this question?
Because do you want me to go why?
Because they're scared to.
No, because of we went
Woman
into
is
it
an
before.
adult human female.
No, not at all. The issue is that it's Sorite's paradox. Do you know what Sorite?
Excellent point.
Donatet $2 truc superchat. Borsa combo. Veu genturses.
I stand completely fucking corrected. Witness, thank you. You got me there. You got me there. That is a worse combo. Great catch, great catch. Yeah, that's... True, women are porn. True. She's cooking, guys. She's cooking. Let her cook. It's gonna be burnt and it's gonna taste like shit, but let her cook.
Sorite's paradox is? Okay, I've got 1,000 grains of sand, and I say that's a heap of sand. Would you agree with me?
Oh, I know this. Yes, I use it all the time.
Okay.
Oh my god. This is a fallacious appeal to authority. Shut the fuck up! Shut up! Just have a normal conversation. I'm gonna crash out.
How many grains of sand makes a heap?
Exactly, right? And the line there is hard to know, right?
It's really not.
It's actually Loki's wager. That's typically what this is called. But
So Blair White is a man. Is a
And
man.
Blair White will tell you Blair White is a man.
Okay, that's fine for Blair White.
Blair White literally makes videos where
You want Blair White
I
to
will-
walk into male bathrooms?
No.
Oh.
No.
Why not?
Well, my position on this is like Blair White walking to a men's room will create a weird social chaos, and I'm not really concerned about Blair.
What is social chaos would it make?
So for men, it's a bit different for women, right? And so the issue is not specifically about Blair White; it's about Buck Angel, a better example.
Sure.
Buck Angel walking into a women's room is going to start a fight, and so
Why?
pissed.
because Buck Angel is a masculine, bicycle mustached, male-looking individual.
So Hulk Hogan with a vagina is essentially like more of a
should be
woman.
using the men's room. But literally, Hulk Hogan with vagina is a literal woman.
Hulk Hogan with vagina should be using the men's room?
Yes.
Dude, this is awesome. You guys, I can't wait to go to the bathroom with Hulk Hogan later. My therapist is like, Malcolm, Hulk Hogan with a pussy can't hurt you. He's not real. As Hulk Hogan with a pussy is right behind me, isn't he? Wow. Wow, these are important questions. This is a strong message. I don't know how much more of this I can watch, guys. I don't know. This is crazy.
Gotcha. Why?
Social order.
Gotcha.
What's the social piece?
The social piece is that people make judgments based on appearance. And there have been instances, there's one story out of McDonald's where a lesbian female was pulled from the women's bathroom and the police kept calling her sir, despite the fact it was a literal biological female, because of this controversy and conundrum.
Yeah.
So I don't have this staunch right conservative, make everybody use their biological gender space, because that will just be chaotic. That being said, there's no simple answer. Why? Because a male who was exposing himself to children went into a spa in California, in San Francisco, exposed himself to women and children, and when a woman complained, they said, the assumption is this person is trans and we can't intervene. When in fact it wasn't a trans person, it was a male who was exposing himself to children.
Right.
So therein lies a much greater problem. On the surface, I think the simple answer is, I don't see how any guy's going to appreciate Buck Angel walking into a ladies' room with their wife.
Exactly,
Never
because
happened.
people make judgments on appearance.
Indeed.
And those judgments on appearance that we make is that performance.
And that has nothing to do with your entitlement to government documents nor entering
I'm
foreign
not getting there
countries.
yet, right? If we make judgments based on appearance, you look at me, and how do you know I'm a woman? Did you check my passport?
No.
Did you check my vagina?
Nope.
I could have a penis for all we know.
Probably not.
I could. Why are you assuming I'm a woman?
Well, you have a woman's body.
Right. Yes, I perform very woman.
Let's roll. Your skin. Men have thicker skin. It's usually, you notice the brow ridge, your facial features, the structure of your shoulders compared to your hips, the fact that you.
This is getting like kind of sexy. Is it just me, or is this getting kind of sexy? Your voluptuous curves, your soft, beautiful, endearing eyes, your soft skin. You smell like lavender and clementines. That's how I know you're a woman. This is getting kind of sexy, isn't it? This is getting a little sexy, isn't it? A little sexy in the studio. Oh my god, I'm so fucking uncomfortable. I'm so uncomfortable.
You have breasts. These are all probably a woman.
You've got big honkers.
Right. So if a woman gets breast implants, is she more or less a woman?
Neither.
Okay. But she appears more feminine, right?
Woman squared. Boob job equals woman squared. Yes?
No.
Yeah, like
Is everybody following along? Boob job equals woman squared. Everybody write that down.
a super, super busty woman is obviously going to be more hyper femme.
I don't agree.
This is
I
just,
don't think your breast size makes you more or less of a woman.
well, I said femme at this point.
Yeah, I don't think femininity
Femme.
is reduced to like the size of a woman's breasts, because then morbidly obese.
Femme
women are more feminine.
fatale.
Well, it's more, again,
What if she was wearing a super sexy, skinny pencil mini skirt and had big honky honkers? What if she looked like she just came out of Kill Bill? Oh my god. What if she had really soft feet? What is this? You guys, they're literally like sexting on this podcast right across from each other. I'm so fucking uncomfortable, please.
performance, right? Like, this is why if you search for porn and you look up like super like hyper feminine or hyper feminine like porn, you're gonna get women with huge tits.
Who is looking up porn and they type in femme? The non-binary they them Starbucks baristas? Who is looking for quote-unquote femme porn? What are you talking about? You guys, this is the male role model that the right fears. Men love listening to Not So Erudite. She knows everything about the plight of men. Men are out here furiously typing on Pornhub.com, strong femme fatale with good positions on feminism. Ugh, you guys!
And a huge ass. This is obviously true.
Yeah, like,
These are
so-
feminine traits, right? Men don't typically have big tits and big asses.
So creating
Well-
subcategories to define something doesn't change that woman and man are typically used to define adult human, male or female.
Yeah, I would say like 90% of the time. And the problem is that we have to legislate for like also the 10%. And so when it works 90%,
10%.
sure, it's probably less than that.
Substantially less.
Sure, but we still have to legislate for it.
Yeah,
Because they're our citizens, right? We can't just be like, fuck you guys. You're not our problem.
Actually,
we
the
could.
argument from trans people is it was better off before any of this was happening when trans people just used bathrooms and anyone noticing.
But I
True.
agree that the trans
Legislating for
movement,
it actually
True.
caused more problems.
well, legislating for it in the way that the trans movement has legislated for it has caused problems,
And you know,
right?
they were trying to get it removed from the DSM-5 as well.
I
Which would,
believe so, yes.
which
True.
would mean they can no longer
Yeah,
get medical treatment.
we shouldn't do that.
Look, here, if you want to have somebody who's very critical of the trans group and thinks they're full of retards, you found the girl, right? I think there's lots of issues with trans advocacy.
I'm not like other girls. I think trans people are R-worded. Ah! I'm not like other leftist feminists, you guys. I think that trans people should be killed by the state. Please! This is so funny. This is so funny. This is so fun. I'm glad that we stuck around, guys. It really started to pick up. It really started to pick up. I'm really happy about this. I'm very happy about this. Wow. Wow, this got crazy.
But I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about the group. I'm talking about the idea, which is what I'm wanting to engage in. People make judgments
what
on
about
appearance.
body dysmorphic disorder?
What about it?
Should people have a right to get their hands chopped off?
It's not body dysmorphic disorder. It's body identity integrity disorder, you fucking dunce.
It depends on if there's evidence that it benefits them.
Well, how would it benefit someone to cut their hand off?
Well, how would it benefit somebody to transition? The same.
It doesn't.
It does.
He's gonna make this. You fucking dumb bitch. He's gonna make the same argument. Well, how can you say if it's beneficial for somebody to cut their fucking arm off? Oh, well, how can you say that it's beneficial for somebody to transition? He's gonna say the same fucking thing. He doesn't think that transition is beneficial. He said that in the beginning. Hello?
It literally doesn't. Suicide ideation is on
Yep,
suicidality.
we're gonna
is
circle all the
actually,
way back.
to quote Chase Strangio, suicide attempts and suicide do not decrease from transition.
Chase Strangio is not a strong one to like the issue.
Well,
here,
the ACLU's lawyer to the Supreme Court is the best example I'm going to come up with.
Sure, but you probably shouldn't use a lawyer when you're talking about like research.
A lawyer
sites.
who's trying to convince the Supreme Court is not the better example.
No, I would say researchers are right. Like we should go to the actual data. I don't care what
And
lawyers
desistance
making
rates
arguments.
are in the majority.
Desistance rates for under 18 are right. The issue is that if you look at data, so
And if you're over 18, do whatever you want.
you want me to tell you about the data?
Sure.
Okay, so there's tons of research on specifically adults, and this was before it was super politicized, because right now, most of the data that you look at for trans science between like 2018 to about 2024 is politicized on both sides. There's groups that are very anti-trans doing science, and it's garbage, and there's sides that are very pro-trans, and they do science, and it's also garbage. And so the issue is that we have like almost 2 decades now of science that we can't rely on, so we have to look back at like the earlier stuff and be really scrupulous about the methodology specifically. And so one of in the most methodologically sound studies, it's an RCT, it's longitudinal.
You have to be really scrumdiddlyumptious about it. You know what I mean, guys? Really scrumdiddlyumptious. Are we just like making up fucking words while we're going along? This is so funny. This is so funny. I'm glad that we hung in there, guys. We did a really good job because this is paying off.
Is a brilliant study. I believe it came out in 2003. I could be incorrect, but it looks at adults over time who transitioned or did not transition, right? And all the effects and sequelae. And when you look at the adults who transitioned over the like 10-year period that they were studying
sequelae? Isn't that where fucking Jacob lives in Twilight? Sequelae? What the fuck? Is she just making up words? And is my dyslexia acting up? What the fuck did she just say? What?
There was a 60% reduction in attempt rate. And by attempt rate, I mean medically diagnosed, confirmed at a hospital attempt rate, which is huge.
Yeah, but hold on. I don't care.
Why?
I'm talking about kids.
I'm talking about adults.
I know, but I don't care what adults do.
But when we're talking about passports and like traveling and all this sort of
That's
stuff.
government treaties and trying to get access to a foreign nation, which you have no right to attain.
Kids can't get passports.
Sure, that's one argument that you're making. For, but when I'm talking about trans people, I'm...
La push. Bella, where the hell have you been, loca?
The bathroom of which you most likely socially align visually.
Yeah, by and large, we should also allow their passports to not like immediately out them as a group that a culture that we believe is hateful and we don't agree
Who's
with.
checking American passports on the fly? Like, are you going to bars and being like,
when you
go
through TSA,
that's
yes, dumb fuck. Have you ever been to a foreign country? You have your passport with you when you go to the bar. You give them your fucking you give them your passport. What the fuck are you talking about? If you go to Belgium and they give you and you give them your like California driver's license, they're gonna say, "Give me your fucking passport." What? What? International war journalist Tim Pool doesn't know how to go to a bar in a I'm gonna crash out.
that okay? Like, is a TSA agent gonna like lynch a trans person going to Omaha?
not an American.
cares?
I'm talking about Iranians.
Why are you going to Iran?
Because you have the liberty to do so.
Not if Iran says no.
Again, my issue isn't that Iran can or cannot say no. My issue is the government, your government, outing you
We're
in a dangerous
looping.
way.
We're at a
for no
bad
other
trip,
reason than
guys.
petty jabs because trans people went too far with policy. I think
I
that's
don't
bad
think
politicking.
I think
there's no other
politicking.
reason.
there's
That's
political
bad
implications
politic.
internationally for us having false passports.
It's bad politic. There's only one.
It's again, if the government will create a way that you can basically allow trans people to have a passport that looks in the way that they are presenting so that they don't get in trouble in countries that will throw trans people off of buildings, I think it's good for your
Why
government.
would you go to a country that they're going to throw you off a building?
I mean, good question.
So what do you mean? What is this question? Why would women go to any country ever that they care about and do like work to like help the poor? I don't know, because they want to. They have the liberty to do so.
Right. And so this is why I asked, why would you do it? You give an answer.
wouldn't go.
And my point is, sometimes you die,
The
right?
government shouldn't be outing you to kill you. I don't care if a trans person goes to Iran and then in the process of being in Iran, they die as a war correspondent. I care about your own government outing you and setting you up to be killed for no other reasons than petty jabs.
And I'm gonna say once again, the reason why I think young men are leaving the left is that this sounds like sophistry.
So again, let's talk about face validity. Do you know what face validity is?
Explain.
Okay, face validity is this process in science. So when we do science, we look for things. So like when
When
we
we do
test whether or not I'm
science.
testing
When we're
depression,
sciencing.
there's validity measures that we apply to ensure that I'm capturing depression and not something else like anxiety, right? One of the ways that we can test for whether or not we're capturing a construct is called face validity. And all that means is it appears good. And the issue is that the world is so much more complex. Every scientist knows that face validity as a form of validity is garbage because I might write an emo measure to test how emo you are, but that doesn't mean that I'm tapping into the emo construct at all. Even though all the questions might sound good and I ask you a bunch about Green Day and all these sorts of things, and I ask you how many black types of
Green Day? Green Day is punk. I don't know how much more of this I can watch. What time is it? Oh god, I have to eat lunch soon. Oh, crazy. The time is flying. I have to eat lunch soon. Oh my god. This is gonna put me in an early grave, you guys.
like makeups you have,
They're not emo.
right? They might be goth, right? They might be.
They're pop punk.
They might.
Thank you, Tim Pool. Oh my god, thank you. Thank you. Sorry.
There you go, right? They might be something else.
I call them cult punk now.
So this is why face validity is a really weak thinking system. And my problem with the right and what you said before with men is that you said it's
I agree. She hasn't brought up the choker in a while. She should bring up the choker again. It's been a while since she reminded me.
easier to be on the right. And I would say that's a weak answer. Because
It's true.
as a human being,
Also, is American Nacho even still here? He hasn't said anything in like an hour. Is he still even here?
better to take the easy path. You should take the right pathway.
No, that's not you call my answer weak, which is nonsensical. It is, you agreed with me that it was easier to be on the right for a man.
It's not nonsensical for me to say taking the easier path isn't good.
Calling my answer weak is not saying...
I didn't say your answer's weak. I said that men who
That's a
take
weak
the easier
answer.
pathway. When you say it's easier, the
True.
weak answer
Men
is
are
in,
pussies, I
like
agree.
essentially when men say
You
it's
mean
just
the
easier
weak
to be
path.
right. That's weak.
It's the weak path.
Sure.
Yeah, I think if we dive into this, men don't want to live in a world of sophistry. They don't want to be told to say there are 5 lights through pain of penalty. So when it's easier to be on the right, it's more like if you're on the right and you go to someone and say, that you're gay, most people on the right, not all, are going to be like, I don't even know that, I don't care.
How do you know what's true?
Well, that's a good point. You don't.
Right. And so what I'm arguing is
The
that
only thing I know is that I know nothing.
sure, well, you know some things, right? And it's good to know that you know.
You believe some things.
Well, I'm an objectivist when it comes to like I'm a science realist, right?
I'm
I believe
gonna
that there are
fucking
things we can discover that are true and will stay
die.
true regardless of how people feel about them, right? I think my
philosophically-
pencil will fall, and that's due to gravity because it's true, and it doesn't matter if I'm like, oh God, please don't do it. Oh shit, I lost again.
We agree on that, but that's a less than 1 millionth of reality. So arguing that we can understand something basic, like the question I like to ask people is, if I took,
Gravity's not basic, right? Gravity's sequelae of falling is basic, but we don't even
Sequelae?
know what causes gravity.
right. So if I were to take this phone and whip it as hard as I could at that window, what would happen?
I don't know how thick your windows are, but it would at least smash your phone. It might smash your window.
That's a great answer, because some people say the window would break. I say, actually, you don't know that. The assumption is the window would break because typically hard object thrown at window breaks window. However, it could be a bulletproof window. So while there are certain things that we can agree on, like if I drop object, it falls because gravity is a thing, most things we assume or believe, but we don't know.
So why did I arrive at the right answer when you might have expected me not to?
I didn't know. I didn't have an expectation of your right
Sure, but
answer.
why did I arrive at the correct answer of essentially saying, I don't know how thick your window is, but your phone would probably break at least?
Higher IQ?
Probably not.
Oh my god, she's never gonna let this go. He said that she was high IQ. Oh my god, so you think I'm skinny? Oh my god. She's never gonna let this go. She's never gonna she's gonna change her Twitter bio to say called high IQ by Tim Pool. I'm gonna fucking freak out, dude. I'm gnawing on the iron bars of my enclosure.
It's probably, for example, Adam Conover is probably not stupid, but I think he says lots of stupid shit. But
Because he's trying to adhere to a liberal orthodoxy.
because I
A question
sure,
of ba-
yes,
question-
actually,
question-
yes, because partisanry defaults your brain to bad thinking strategies. And what I care about, all I care about in my
Bitch,
platform,
I love Parmesan. That's crazy. Me too.
good think. And face validity is not
but-
a valid way to determine whether a construct
not
is true
valid.
or not.
It's
because
not.
it falls apart the moment you look at the complexities of the world.
Which is
Falls
why
right
I say,
apart.
when you go so hard on this, passports out you, people don't buy it.
I don't care if I explain to them how blitzscaling works as like a venture capitalist system. You might be like, that shouldn't work. I don't really care. It's really complicated. It's infinitely
But
complicated.
you sound like Adam Conover.
Infinitely.
A what?
You sound like Adam Conover.
No, because I
like
don't deny
what?
IQ and I don't deny science,
there's
right?
no-
I don't sound like Adam Conover in any way, other than we might
let's-
align on like trans stuff. The issue is like I'm not engaging in science denial.
Right, let's try this. The issue of being able to travel to a foreign country is predicated upon the acceptance of that foreign country letting you in. It's their
Dude, is American Nacho just taking a fucking nap right now? This fucks. This is awesome.
sovereignty. So internally, there really isn't an issue pertaining to your passport saying MF or whatever. I mean, unless you're trying to get a ladies' night discount, which is unconstitutional anyway, and they get sued 1 million times over for it.
Oh my god, dude, it's so true. What is American exceptionalism other than getting, $2 off of your beer on ladies' nights? Wow, amazing. Millions of people across the globe are transing their gender, and bartenders hate them. They're getting cheaper beer with this one simple hack. Very true. This is an epidemic. We should talk about this more.
There's very rare circumstances other than the emotions of the individual where it matters, except in a medical function,
Sure.
where a doctor needs to know what kind of medicine to prescribe you based on your biology.
And how do you know that somebody's female?
Are you saying in a medical context?
Female, with the way that you would define female.
I mean, we make assumptions on the surface for the most part, but I fully recognize, for someone like Blair, I have no problem saying she and her, because
Okay,
Blair,
why?
Because Blair gives me respect,
Yeah, you're a respectful person, and
and Blair returns the respect.
it would also be really fucking weird to say he, him, right?
No, not really. I mean, Blair has said that she is actually a he and a man, and I think Blair even called her boyfriend gay. And so I'm kind of like, I don't know, Blair's nice, respectful, entertains things logically, and asked me his preferred pronoun. I say, okay, we had a drag queen on the show, said I use she. I said, okay, I don't care, whatever.
Sure.
People who are disrespectful, I'll call all sorts of weird names.
Sure, I'm not asking
I'll
about
insult
people
them.
who are like, yeah, I don't expect you to play the same social tit for tat.
But this is my point. Conservatives, like,
Who say actually one question, sorry, if I can pause you. I don't know who Blair is, okay? I'm a random person plucked from the internet, from the world who's never seen the internet. Which pronouns would they guess Blair is?
she, her,
Why?
because Blair White looks female,
Right. And so that looks female piece is something that I think is worth applying a word to, which we call gender.
trans.
Gender. Right? Because That's the word that you can put
Got
a different
him right
word, I
there.
suppose.
Got him.
But gender
Yeah, you
is
should
what
use
we're
a different
talking
word.
about when we say that somebody performs in such a way, right? The reason that you know that I'm a woman is because I perform like a woman in every single way, even though it is possible, technically,
Dance, monkey,
that I'm a
dance.
sneaky XY chromosome haver. So I even have a vagina, but I'm technically XY.
Well, there's androgen. I forgot what the actual thing is called, androgen immunity. Do you know that?
Yeah.
Some people are born XY, but the testosterone never has no. They're immune to testosterone,
Yeah.
so they develop like females. I think the issue largely is just down to why does that matter if someone's ID says their biological sex on it?
Because, say, for somebody like intersex. Well, intersex, how do you even...
Well, intersex actually has the capability to change.
What?
What?
If you're birth like
Yeah, I think they have to pick whenever they're like younger or something like that.
They just,
Oh, there you go.
they just pick a sex?
Yeah, like I think they have both, and the parents basically have to choose.
I'll tell you this, I will grant
Yeah,
I will
the-
grant
I mean,
all
the parents
luxuries
pick,
afforded to
sure.
anyone who is legitimately intersex. I have no issue with that. It's a minority of the population. I don't think we should legislate for the majority for a minority in that way. So by all means, let's say, sure, intersex makes up like 0.017% of the population, and let's try to accommodate them. It's unfortunate at the end of that circumstance.
Sure. So, like, for example, the Algerian boxer, Amane, right? Everyone insisted that she was trans. Seems like there's no evidence that's come out. It seems likely that she might have some intersex stuff, her testosterone.
That's why I think.
Yeah, like she might be androgen resistant or something like that. But in all ways, she's Algerian, right? They've thought she was a female from birth, and Algeria is not exactly.
Yeah, that is actually the most popular gender these days is Algerian. Very true. That's an entirely separate gender category that we really need to, isolate in a vacuum. Algerian, the gender. Yes, very important that we talk about this. Very good, very good.
Gender open, right? When we looked at that situation, the right got really agitated because essentially gender was thrust in their face, and it's hard to solve, especially if you won't even. Well, they said it was a guy, but it isn't a guy, right? In any way, shape, or form. And in fact, insisting she with breasts is a guy.
She didn't have breasts. That was the issue.
I think that she has like some level. I think most XYs will have some level of mammary development because without testosterone, you often. This is why pedophiles who are on SSRIs often have mammary development. Mammary development is kind of default unless you have androgen to prevent it. I could be wrong, but that's my
I think
understanding.
you're right.
Most pedophiles have tits. What are we talking about right now? Hang on now. I feel like I was just snapped back into consciousness. What did she say?
That's why like dudes with steroids when they stop producing testosterone after the fact and run
Get
boobs.
some boobies, right? And so she did. She
Some
did have
boobies.
breasts. They were probably small. I wouldn't be surprised because
Bitch said Bob. What's his name?
sure, but like Asian women have small tits, and that doesn't mean that we're like that's a man now. It's a man. Otherwise, my argument that more tits equals more women.
I'm sorry, your tits are way too big. We cannot legally denote you as Asian. Your tits are too big. You simply cannot be Asian. What is happening right now? What you say? What the fuck is going on, dude?
Would be true.
The issue largely just stems to we don't legislate for the absolute minority, and an intersex person upon discovery, it's like, well, we can't. If you don't fit into the category we provided for the overall majority, then maybe a secondary category or something would make a lot of sense. Because if someone was born without feet, they're not going to be runners. We don't say like we're going to give you robot legs so you can run. That was actually the
It's not like you're gonna be clapping if you're born without hands. Oh my god, he just cooked her. He cooked her.
Pistorius debate because he didn't have legs, and so they were letting him use these prosthetics that people argued gave an advantage. He argued didn't, and it was contentious. And then he killed.
Isaki Kentai donatet $1 amb 99 centaus trucs superchat. Snap back to reality.
Thank you very much, Izaki Witness. I don't know how to get back to reality right now. I don't even know where the fuck I am. This is crazy, bro. This is so crazy.
His girlfriend, I think, and got arrested for it.
The fair play guy, right? The like big question of fair play. Yeah, I mean, like I think when
And
it
that's
comes to
something I was trying to ask you
sports-
earlier was sort of that too. What he's kind of touching on is that, well, how can you say that, like in this one, like right now you're saying we should basically legislate for the minority, but then earlier
always
you're saying,
legislate for the
Oh,
minority.
he
Just
is.
to be clear.
There's American Nacho. He's still here. Okay.
well, we shouldn't be
By
listening
and
to
large,
these.
but like most judicial
Yeah,
criminality.
but you're saying earlier, well, we shouldn't be listening to these crazy people that are like on the extreme left, and we should be ignoring them, and we should be
Sure.
like together.
Yeah, you should, like, for example, I guess I would say, I'm sorry that the left got so crazy. Wasn't really my doing. I've only been in this industry for 3 years. I've always fought them. I don't like them. Why are you treating me like...
Dude, if only she got in the industry earlier, there wouldn't be as many crazy people, and then Trump would have lost. Like, it's actually the reason that Donald Trump got elected is because Not So Erudite was not yet doing political content. If she was doing political content, just a little bit earlier, guys, just a little bit earlier, we could have stopped Donald Trump. This is a strong message. Wow, I agree.
Like I'm them. I'm not a crazy leftist. I'm a reasonable liberal, and we are a growing group, a vastly growing group, because a lot of people are being like, yeah, progressives are kind of stupid. Like, they're a little cringe. And I agree. I've been fighting them my entire life. The issue is that I refuse
cool, brave.
that the alternative has to go, well, if it looks and feels that way, it is that way, except for when I don't want it to be that way. It's like, that's not a
Yeah, but
satisfying answer.
what
Basically,
we're
we
talking
can't
about though
do
is a minority. Like there are not tons of Blair Whites and
there's not a
what's
lot of
the other
trans
guy?
people.
I forget his name.
Angel.
It looks like that. Yeah, that's why they're like a unique case. That's why everybody cites them is because they are the minority.
Here's another issue. Let's move on from this. The policies that
Yeah,
you
shut up,
espouse outside of
Nacho.
like the transgender issue,
Yeah.
many people on the right completely agree with.
I agree.
And so the issue then becomes reformer versus revolutionary, or are you lying? And
Excellent question. Reform or Revolution? Incredible book by Rosa Luxemburg, by the way. How does it go again? It goes Reform is like pouring a pitcher of lemonade into the sea to help, displace its saltiness. Completely fucking useless. Oh, great question, Tim.
And so when you have, in 2020, I donated the max to Tulsi Gabbard and Andrew Yang, and I wanted sane Democrats to kick out the lunatics. Instead, they all stood there and raised their hand about opening the border, decriminalizing crossings, giving healthcare to non-citizens.
The Democrats just put forward the most comprehensive, unilateral, across the board, comprehensive border patrol bill, and Republicans shot it down. We are living in delusional land.
And I was like, what the fuck is going on? And then they basically booted Tulsi Gabbard, and she still endorsed Joe Biden. Andrew Yang ended up taking a job at CNN, and once again, just trying to pan to the left. And so I was like, wow, who am I going to vote for? Donald Trump then came out and said,
Probably
DEI stuff needs to be removed from government. I said, hey, I'm for that. He said, no new wars. I said, I'm for that. He said, we're going to set a timeline for withdrawal from Afghanistan. I was like, wow, these are things that I, as a liberal-leaning person my whole life, have longed for.
Well, and then who pulled out of Afghanistan? Who did that? Who ended up doing that? And then who hated it? Joe Biden ended up pulling out of Afghanistan, and Republicans fucking hated it. Even though it was a really cool, good POG idea when Trump wanted to do it. And then when Joe Biden did it, everybody was like, that sucked. And it's like, I thought that's what you wanted. And they're like, well, yeah, but not from him. It's all spite. It's all like little kids, like turning up their nose at shit. It's like, but you said you wanted chicken nuggets. I actually only wanted chicken nuggets if mom made them. I don't want you to make them. It's like, it's so pointless. It's so pointless.
For. I think this is the best chance I have because Joe Biden is lying about Trump statements. The media is lying about Trump statements.
He's lying.
They're falsely framing what's actually going on. And Joe Biden is the guy who sold contracts got his brother contracts in Iraq. This is military-industrial complex times 10. I'll take Trump. Then you come to 2024, and Donald Trump says, we're going to bring in Tulsi Gabbard, RFK Jr., Elon Musk. We're going to bring in a coalition of liberals to help lead foreign policy and economic decisions. And no new wars, blah, blah, blah. We're going to set peace. And I'm like, well, this is the most functionally appropriate thing to select, which I will.
But then he lied, right? He's like, for example, the Gaza war rollout has exploded under him because essentially the War Council was having the brakes pumped on them super hard. I'm not sure how you feel about
it. What does that have to do with
Trump is Trump being anti-war. He is literally celebrating the idea of basically steamrolling Gaza and displacing all of the citizens.
Have you been following the news? Huh? Have you been following the news on this one?
Yeah.
He recently came out and told Israel he was breaking from them. He doesn't want to be involved in their wars.
Do you remember why?
Iran.
What do you mean Iran?
To avoid a war.
To avoid a war with Iran. He said, we're going to stop supporting you because you're pushing too hard. Israel said they're going to engage in strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities. And Tulsi Gabbard told Trump, don't do it. And Trump said, we won't. Tulsi Gabbard was excellent choice. Man, if we got Kamala Harris in there, holy shit.
And this brings it back to the topic. Why are men leaving? I mean, we don't want to be fighting the wars. I mean, I think we realize.
Oh, yeah. I'll just kind of own. I'm not like pro-war because I see war as like the most
I'm not saying you are.
thing. But I see war as an absolute necessity.
I will say, I think Democrats are.
War is the gayest thing. I agree. This is a strong message.
They let on. They like to pretend. They like to do this thing where they're pretending that, oh, we're just doing our thing here. Yeah, we're nice and then really we're fighting three problems.
I'll put it this way: as a liberal, as a liberal, I see Donald Trump publicly going moderate on the issue of abortion, and he got attacked for it.
He did.
I see him rejecting DEI, which is a violation of the Civil Rights Act and illegal. And I see him bringing on Tulsi Gabbard for national security, RFK Jr. for health, and I'm like, wow. This is the first time I've actually gotten liberal administrative policy in the federal government because Obama wasn't doing it. Obama was blowing up children overseas. So I've said numerous times, Obama should be criminally investigated, impeached, and charged for the killing of Abdurrahman al-Awlaki, and Donald Trump should be investigated for the killing of Abdurrahman al-Awlaki's 7-year-old sister. But Donald Trump, as an administration, is eclectic with much more liberal tendency than the Democrats offer. Again, the reason why I think young men are leaving is, for one, it's not just ideology. It's literally just.
I don't know why she's doing this. To be completely honest with you, embarrassing herself. I don't know. It's quite impressive, honestly. I'm not even gonna lie. It's very impressive to me. Wow. I don't think I can finish that. I need like 30 cigarettes, but I quit smoking. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. It's so evil being me. It's so evil for me. It's so evil. I don't know. I do have to eat lunch at some point, and it is the weekend. I have to go and eat lunch, and I have chores that I have to do. So sad. It's fucked up. This is why men are leaving the left, because on the right, men don't have to do chores. That's the woman's job. This is a strong message that I fully support. Take me back. Take me back. Women, go back to the kitchen, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. Yes, this is a strong message. I completely agree. Oh. What clip? Oh, this is a strong message. This is a strong... No, not right now. Can you give me like 5 minutes? Oh my gosh, I have to do everything around here. Hang on. Oh my god.
This is a strong message!
Wow. I just aged. You're gonna have to put me in a retirement home. I'm so old now. I didn't even close my door. This is not a strong message. This is not a strong message.
Wow! This is a strong message!
This is not a strong message. I have to do everything around here. This is why men are leaving the left. Can you guys believe it? I didn't even get a knock. I just got the door opened. What's going on? Women. Am I right, guys? I'm gonna get smacked for that one, I'm sure. Oh. For what? No, I never said anything about women. I said I love and respect all women. That's what I said. That's what I said. I said women are great. I love them. What hurts? Your heart? Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Oh my god, did you guys see my upper body? That's so embarrassing. I don't want you guys to know what my upper body looks like. That's so embarrassing. I know, El Gato is here. One of El Gatos is here. Hey. No. I know. I love women. I love women, guys. I really do. All right. Little ladies and other. I have to go and eat lunch. And I have other shit to do. There's Bobus and Meatloaf. Bobus and Meatloaf. Don't Smoke in Bed is gonna watch Silo, so we can have yap time later. She's not listening to me. It's fine. I'm so neglected. I'm just kidding. It's fine. I'm gonna send you guys to Queeman. Queeman's doing more erudite coverage. Okay, so go support women. We love women. Women are great. I love women. Okay, women are phenomenal. I'll be back next week, probably on Thursday and Friday for sure. Maybe Monday. We'll see. Okay. But I'm going to send you guys to Queeman. Go be nice to Queeman. Thanks for spending Saturday with me for just like a little bit. Yes, there is more erudite coverage. It never ends. Erudite today, erudite tomorrow, erudite forever. Okay. Love you guys a lot. You guys have been so fun to hang out with. Thank you for spending time with me. I'll be back next week, and there's going to be a new Westside Tyler hit piece video out. Thank you, Killjoy, for sending that to me. Super excited to watch that. I was really disappointed that it wasn't out today. Really butthurt about that, but it's fine. We're going to watch that next week. Everybody enjoy your weekend. Everybody work on your tan and shit like that. Okay, I want to see some tan bitches when we come back next week, okay? I love you guys lots. I will see you later, alligators. Hug, hug, kiss, kiss. XOXO. Gossip Girl.
Slay. Oh my god. Slay.